Good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you may be. It is I, Mike Martins, and let's kick off some Gemini King here for Mike in the Night.
Gemini King, Mike in the Night, and the Gemini crew.
Mike in the Night.
Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world. Give this page another
Welcome, everybody and everyone, to Mike in the Night, burning the midnight oil wherever you're watching us. I want to thank Frank and Massimo, who have me on at night, working the night shift in Toronto, Ontario. I want to thank Wilson and Maurizio. Sorry, Wilson and Maurizio for tuning in to me in San Juan, Puerto Rico, who listens to me live. So we got people rolling in the comment section. Our Skype lines are open for open lines. And tonight's topic, guys, we need to talk about, someone's on topic here, homelessness. Now, what's driving homelessness? Back in the day, when people used to become homeless, they were on hard times. They recently divorced, or they've lost a job and they're out in the street. Now, it's not even that anymore. People working 2 jobs and they can't afford rent. So we got people in the comments. Mia Nino, what's up? Hey Mike, what do you think about rents in California? Rents are out of control, and they are so also in Toronto, Oregon, Seattle, and Nevada right now. They're out of control. New Zealand, we had our friend down in New Zealand telling us they're paying $600 for rent in New Zealand. And then you're thinking, what? They pay per week. In New Zealand and Australia, they pay their rent every week. $600 a week for some places in New Zealand. Jesse Flores from Austin, Texas. Flores is a very, very big Portuguese last name. I have a lot of Flores family. But some live in Portuguese Africa, and some of them live in Brazil, and I even think I have Flores family in Portugal. What else? Carlos, the credit specialista. Great show, Mike. And Rashid Farah saying, are you homeless, Mike Martin? No, I'm not. But we got a homeless situation going everywhere. Thank God I'm not homeless. Thank God, because it could happen to anybody. Yeah, California. Yeah, we got the California articles here. Rainier Mola from Montreal, Quebec City. Oh, Montreal, Quebec. Sorry, Quebec. Anyways, guys, let's kick off the date. What are we looking at today? 8:40 p.m. Western Seaboard time. It is 8, 9, 10, 11:40 p.m. in New York. I want to thank Hector and, what's his name? Hector and Hector and his boy Chavez, who's watching us in the Bronx, New York State. In the Bronx in New York State. Kevin Thompson in the house. Yeah. Here we go. West Australia, Ray Palmer. Thanks for joining us tonight. Peter Otezinger. Hola, Mike. Los Canuck. I'm here, baby. Okay, guys. We need to get up. Okay, guys, we need to talk about homelessness tonight because it's severely getting out of control. It's really out of control, guys. I thought it was, a hit and miss thing, and some cities are worse than others, and guys, the homelessness is, and this is the problem. And this is the problem we're overlooking. This is somebody's daughter. This is somebody's son. This is somebody's grandmom. It broke my heart. It was in the summertime. I made a video about it. There was a lady, 82 years old, going around picking up plastic bottles in the garbage because she doesn't make enough in her pension. I go, Senora, how many years you work? She goes, oh, I work 42 years in factory, and I work this and that. It's really bad, people. Especially people. Someone's asking me, why do I have 2 live streams? I do not know, because I am on one live stream. I don't get it. I'm not live right now, guys. I have a live stream. Let's refresh this. Everyone's telling me I got one live channel right now. That's it. One channel right now, guys. Cigar face in the house. Anyways, that's interesting. That's weird because I'm live right now. Oh, it's this one. Oh yeah, this is this one here. Yeah, this is waiting for stream. This is just an announcement. That's an announcement, guys, to tell you guys that I'm going to be coming on. You don't have to click on that, because if you click on that, it's going to go directly to my camera, and it's weird, and I don't have any surroundings around me, so you can see what I'm talking about. Lowell Roller Scratcher in the house. And yes, the one where I have my hands in the air. I saw that. Yeah. But that's just coming soon. Coming soon thing. Mike in the Night Homeless Crisis. 660,940 homeless households in England, in UK. England. Not UK. England. 635,000 empty homes. What's going on, people? I need to know your homeless situation. Panhandlers. Oh, man, I got some stories here, man, that were posted like not even an hour ago. From Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, United States of America. Homelessness is taking its toll. I knew there was going to be a lot of homelessness going around because of this unaffordable housing. And the problem is, a lot of people work 2 jobs and they're homeless. Oliver St. John in the house. Bitcoin is tanking. Yeah, we got that. We covered that last week, and it's been a nightmare. Okay, here we go. We got Carlitos there. You know what he's telling us? Hey, did you know that they are turning some empty malls in Los Angeles area into homeless shelters? Well, here we go. So, I don't know if you guys remember when I did Mike in the Night, Trends in the Housing Market last Wednesday, and my entire video got butchered and cut up because this is the article that sparked it. So what happened was I did Mike in the Night. Trends in the Housing Market. I even did a video on my channel about it, okay? I did a video on my channel about it. It's right here. Did a video on my channel, and I discussed this problem. The video's right here. Video flagged for visual copyright. Okay? Video flagged for visual copyright. So, it was this one. This video here, right beside it, Trends in the Housing Market, UK, Canada, USA. It only has 33 minutes and 12 seconds. The video was originally 3 hours and 20 minutes. So they butchered out so much of this video. And when I went into the video, it said that that FIFA, I have visuals of FIFA in my video. And I was flagged 4 times in that video, or 3 times, and it would show me where to click, okay, to see the match. Not the match, a soccer match. The match as in where I'm stealing FIFA's video. I click on it, and it was this video. It was this right here. 43,000 people in Scotland became homeless last year. So I'm not sure what this video is trying to say, or I mean, what this article, why there's so much pressure on this article, and why it has to do something with FIFA. I don't know if this is a former soccer player here. I don't think so. I'm not making up jokes, guys. They flagged this because of this. So we're going to cover the article then, if there's some sort of a problem. People lost their home every 18 minutes in Scotland last year, according to a new study. Every 18 minutes, someone's losing their home in Scotland. Figures published by a shelter in Scotland indicate 43,000 people, including children, became homeless in 2017. So, guys, once you hear children, you know very well this isn't a guy that's hard on his luck and his wife kicked him out and threw his clothes on the front yard. No way. The analysis follows a report by Shelter Scotland that homelessness applications rose in the country for the first time in 9 years last year. Across the UK, the number of people living in the streets rose from a third straight year, with 320,000 estimated to be homeless. That's a lot of people. In its annual landmark review on homelessness, the housing charity combined official rough sleeping, temporary accommodation, social services figures, and Scottish government homeless statistics. Okay, guys, I got a sad story I want to share with you guys. It's a pretty bad one. This is not good. My stepson, he's like in grade 10. And I remember I went to go get him at school for something. I had to go get him. We had to go somewhere. So I went to go pick him up. And I'm waiting, and then I'm looking inside one of the classrooms, and there's a teacher there on the phone. And there's like 2 students in the class. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're probably calling their parents or something, whatever. We left. And this wasn't in Merritt. This was in Vancouver. But this is when he was in grade 8. So I'm like, what happened to this girl? Those 2 girls, are they in trouble? It's like, no, the teacher usually stays back of the class. Anywhere from 40 minutes to 2 hours with some students every day. Oh, what's wrong? Oh, they're trying to find a shelter for them, and they have nowhere to go. They're homeless. Like they have nowhere to go. What? So they're finding a youth shelter for them, right? Because there's many youth shelters around the city. Are you serious? Has it really gotten that bad? You know, that is it really that bad? Because something inside me wants to say that, I wish I never heard that. Let's move on. 43,000 people in Scotland became homeless last year. This is a pretty bad one. Dog freezes to death in Montreal homeless man's arms. Yeah, this is something that should never happen, not here and not anywhere. But unfortunately it has. The question of whether it could have been prevented is redundant at this point. A man's best friend died on the streets of Montreal in his arms because he had nowhere to go during last night, Thursday night's record-breaking temperature of -16, with a wind chill of minus 26. This was from 2 days ago, guys. Minus 26. I'm so grateful I'm in the West Coast. Here, it's like 5 degrees outside right now, plus 5. Like, according to the Montreal Gazette, 2:30 a.m. that night, Christian, who is homeless, wrapped his dog Buddy, a Doberman, with 2 blankets and held them in his arms. But Buddy still continued shivering badly. I don't even want to read this, man. I don't even want to read this. 1 in 200 people now homeless in Britain as crisis deepens. Guys, this is serious. This is very serious. These are 320,000 people that could potentially be put back to work and pay taxes. Right? I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, like pay your taxes, but they could potentially contribute back to the infrastructure. Let's hit up some comments. So Rainier Mulla says, it doesn't make any sense. Quebec gets $11 billion in equalization payments. I really wonder where it all goes. Oh, it's going fast here. Hold on a second. Low Roller Scratcher, you live in Canada. Does it get very cold in your area? This year, we're going to have a mild winter. They've been forecasting it. It's going to go back to normal. It stays above 0 most of the time, 0 Celsius, right? Most of the time. So hopefully we get a nice mild winter. And March again. March here is spring. Like, it's really spring. Where the rest of the country, like Ontario, Alberta, Manitoba, March is still freezing, like in the minus 15, 20s. In Quebec, too. Ontario, by the cold front by those lakes. It's really cold still in March. April still cold. May 2-4 weekend is when the weather gets good in Ontario. Welcome to the jungle, says Oliver St. John. And Peter saying Canada's leading the charge to be the leader of the UN Migration Pact. Yep. Yep, we're going to hopefully get a new government, but is it going to be too little too late when the next government gets elected? That is the question. 1 in 200 people are now homeless in Britain. That's a lot of bodies, people. Olympia prepares to open a tent site, tiny homes, amid rising number of homeless camping. Olympia, Washington State, guys, just south of me. Olympia housing camp.
Filled with intensity. Ha, get it?
I don't even know how to do that.
I've been sitting around all day looking for the maddest other place in the world.
This little community, we all pretty much know each other, so it works really well together. And we watch out for each other. We have little scuffles now and then, but it, like I said, works itself out.
That's what I hear is people are looking for some people that you can feel safe with.
It's community. Yeah, it's watching out for each other. It's not taking offense when someone says, hey, you're getting a little messy. and not taking offense to it. So yeah. So far it's working really well, actually.
I think they should put in place a place where people can go to live that's low income, you know, in a minute. Because, I mean, in a minute, you can't just let people fall by the wayside.
What does it mean for you to be here, at least have sort of a somewhat of a stable place?
Relief. I don't have to I worry so much about it.
When I was out here, I was very thankful. Very thankful.
You can't find your way out sometimes in the woods, and there's people that don't know about the woods, and
it's getting dangerous out there in the woods.
And you can't expect all the people that know about the woods to carry everybody out of the woods. Do you understand? It's too much for them also.
It's getting dangerous out there, though.
Because it's dark and it's hard, and, you know, I mean, there's lots of reasons.
They need more places like these.
I mean, if you have campgrounds.
So that video's by Tony Overman. Thank you for posting that. Olympia Washington State prepares to open tent site, tiny homes. So they're declaring a state of emergency homelessness, a public health emergency. This is posted today. Preparing to open a designated campsite for tiny home village for homeless people. Starting December 3rd, crews will begin work on what it is calling a migration site on the city-owned parking lots at Olympia Avenue, Northeast and Franklin Street in Northeast, where dozens of people are already camping in tents. So that's what's happening, guys. They're going to be building these little homes so people have a place to sleep. In January, the city plans to open a tiny house village for 40 people on land that's owned behind the Yasharo Japanese Garden. Yep. It's getting really bad, people. Lord Humongous in the comments section saying that the entire North American continent will be like this. Oliver St. Juan is saying it's going to be like the Hunger Games. Lord Humongous returns and says Canada's starting to get their dose. Canada's starting to get their dose now. Is there a correlation between homelessness and crime? Does crime increase to get by? It depends where. It depends what city. It depends. Everything ties. A crime could go up if everybody instantly became rich. If everybody became rich overnight, everybody became a multi-millionaire overnight, you'll see crime go up still because people want to protect their fortune. Oh, this guy owes me money still. I'm going to go collect from him because I know he has money. You see crime go up quick in a heartbeat if everyone gets money. Be prepared, folks. It's gonna get tougher. Cops don't bother the obedient taxpayer. Well, no. Cops are getting pushed harder to start ticketing more and more people. Wow, that girl's beautiful. Holy crap. Anyways, let me refresh this. Where's this thing? Refresh this thing here. Come on, I want to subscribe to this. No! With deadline approaching, residents of Minneapolis homeless camp are divided about moving. Again, Minneapolis gets pretty cold there and frigid in the winters. Man, you guys have no idea how bad it gets there in Minneapolis. You get 3 to 4 feet of snow sometimes. People have to shovel the snow off their roofs because it gets so high. Early on, frigid morning of this week, Sharon Lee Lovejoy and her 2 school-aged grandchildren cuddled under a pile of blankets and sleeping in bags in the back seat of her 1999 Jeep Cherokee. Did I miss the memo or something? Was I out to lunch when they were giving out this hey, by the way, 1 in 10 people will become homeless in the next 2 years. I wasn't at the seminar. Frigid morning week. And her 2 school-age gray children cuddled under a pile of blankets and sleeping bags in the back seat of their 1999 Jeep Cherokee, parked across from the large homeless encampment along Hiawatha Avenue in South Minneapolis. What? Okay, the Lovejoys have come to the same corner on 22nd Street every night since they became homeless in early September. And despite the multiple visits from outreach workers, Lovejoy insists that living in the shadows of a homeless camp near many of her friends and relatives is safer than living in an emergency homeless shelter. Okay, we gotta get someone on the show that's in an emergency homeless shelter. I know there's a lot of people watching this show, and I reach a lot of people. This is severely heartbreaking. What do you do? State accused of covering up homeless figures. Oh, you don't say? Oh, you telling me the government's gonna lie about figures? Come on, smarten up. All right, Steve the Plumber. Hello, Peter. Nobody is debt-free, said Lord Humongous. And you were Mike. It was the one about the crypto. Not sure. Low Rural Scratcher says, Mike Martin, install ad blocker. You can block out all your ads if you want to see the FIBA. This is going pretty fast here. Mike bought Bitcoin 600 a few years ago, Oliver. Oh yeah, I bought Bitcoin. I bought 9 Bitcoins for like 490, 500 maybe? I can't remember. But I unloaded them when they started dropping after 20 something. I just bye. Goodbye. No, I didn't buy a few months ago. I made the video a few months ago about how I owned 9 Bitcoin. And it's a very interesting story how I got into 9 Bitcoin. I set up all the computers at my old store. I had like 19, 20 gaming PCs. And what I did overnight was I left them all on, mining. All of them. And I set up a wallet. And after like 3 months or 2 months, I got my first Bitcoin, second, third, and they kept coming quick after that. I stopped at 9 point something Bitcoins. And it was on my Note 2 phone. I had a Note 1 or a Note 2 phone. It was an old phone. It was a Note 1, I think it was. And then I put the phone away. And I didn't care. I was like, whatever. It's not even worth it. So then later, I'm looking at the news. I'm like, oh my God. So I got to find a charger for this Note 1 or 2. I can't remember if it was a Note 1 or 2. I got to find the phone. Plug it in. Go to my wallet. It was still there. Hallelujah. Anyways, let's move on. Someone says, am I considering to buy it? No, I'm not buying Bitcoin ever again. I bought that I earned that Bitcoin and I didn't buy it. I got it. I earned them when they were at $400 or $500. And I was thinking to myself when I got those, I'm like, man, I don't know how much electricity I'm running on all these gaming PC. No, everyone's asking me if I'm buying crypto. I'm not buying no cryptos. I never bought crypto. I always had crypto. I had 9 Bitcoins. I got them when they were like $400 or $500 a piece. And I mined them on the store computers. Here goes. The state has admitted it doesn't count the number of children who leave homelessness and are placed in new accommodation amid claims it is deliberately covering up the fresh housing scandal. Housing scandal. So, Mark Levy's in the comments saying the property market in Australia is even more expensive than you think. You should look into the prices again. If you were blown away with that $1 million place, I watched your video, 1-bedroom apartment, $1 million. Yeah, we're going to do another Australia versus, I don't know, Georgia. We'll do Georgia. Everyone says, oh, you keep picking Florida. Well, you could buy almost anything under $200,000 in Florida. But okay, fine, we'll do Georgia next time. We'll do Sydney versus Atlanta. We'll find some houses in Atlanta, 5 bedrooms under $200,000, and we'll compare them to the 1-bedroom apartment in Sydney. And we'll go see what happens there, you know what I'm saying? Okay, guys, why is the state covering up homeless figures? Housing scandal. I think I'm going to change my tune to housing scandal. Tiny micro apartments in Sydney are in the news this week. Well, they down in Florida, they used to call those coffin apartments. They were, I think there were 400 square feet. I think there were 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and 1 tiny kitchen and 1 tiny living room, 400 square feet, and they were going for like, I think it was $25,000 for those micro apartments. We call them coffin apartments. Wait a minute, $400K for a micro in Bondi Beach? What? Why? Oh, Brother John is when you're opening up Mike's Munchies? Buddy, Filipino Food Mart. Right next, my wife's store, right next to mine. Chips, chicharron, all kinds of snacks. I'll do a tour of my wife's store for you guys so you can see all the snacks there. Because they're opening a marijuana dispensary across the street from my store. Okay, so Mark Levy is saying, Mark, just add me on Skype if you ever want to talk. Add me on Skype. It's Mike Martin's 1980, and we could discuss this. Mark Levy says, in Australia, those are called studios. They go for 700,000 pesos? Or dollars? $700,000 pesos? It's got to be 700,000 pesos. There's no way that's 700,000 for a micro apartment or a studio apartment. Australian dollars? That's like 530,000 US. Holy crap. Okay, Irish homelessness crisis should be treated as a national emergency. Guys, this is from last week. Ireland's efforts to coming up with terms with mounting homelessness will be on an ongoing fight at least another 3 to 12 years. However, 3 to 12 years? I got a section of the show that I'm going to bring up. That's going to be very twisty at the end here. Homeless people are synthetic drugs' latest victims. This activist has had enough. So what they're doing is they're pushing synthetic drugs on people. I guess they're testing it. So they're using people for this. So the huge homeless population in very bad here. Southeast Washington Park hit hard by synthetic drugs, trying to make a difference on the issue she believes is usually met with indifference. So, previous levels, listen to this, guys. Listen to this. 1,054 overdoses in September alone. They're covering this up. Do you understand? 1,054 overdoses in September alone with synthetic drugs. I don't think I'm making myself clear here, guys. 1,054 overdoses in September alone due to synthetic drugs. Where users fall over from overdoses right on the street corners. And they die in homeless shelters and parks. Terrifying onlookers looking at dead body. So you can get a synthetic marijuana for $1 to $2 for a joint. This is horrible. This is horrible, guys. Homeless people, synthetic drug. This is huge. Well, we'll get Evan on the show later to talk about synthetic drugs. He'll probably know more. Public housing, harsh in evicting woman who's now homeless, says Legal Aid. Catherine McKenzie is now homeless after being evicted by Windsor Essex Community Housing Corporation. So she's been living there for 9 years, 63-year-old, low-income subsidy. She's in a category that slips through the cracks.
I'm traumatized. I mean, I'm so stressed out. I can't even think, of how, like with the two deaths, my ex and my mother 2 years ago, and then for them to throw me out of my house. I'm, 63. I've never been homeless in my life. I've lived all over Canada. I have never been homeless. I'm usually working too, but I'm having a hard time because I have a lot of health problems.
Okay, guys, that's pretty, because that could be anyone. That could be anyone's grandma. She can't afford it. And of course they're saying, well, we're not breaking any rules here. Speechless. Ah, Canada's feeling the brunt of this. Rainier is saying, man, this country, doesn't anyone care about their parents anymore? Jesse Flores says, synthetic drugs turn people into zombies. Oh, yeah. Some bad things are going to happen, Pet Cemetery style. The Forward Family Shelter in Mechanicsville, one of the 2 family homeless shelters in Ottawa, will close permanently in the coming weeks. But yet, we have a lot of hotels in Canada putting up migrants. We're going to look at that in a bit, okay, guys? Filling up with migrants, and a lot of 5-star hotels taking in migrants and getting contracts from the federal government to keep them housed, or people from war-torn countries. Michigan boy hands out blankets to the homeless. This is really good. Some good news here. From downtown Detroit.
Hundreds of homeless people in Michigan are warm now thanks to one 12-year-old boy.
Samuel Verhage handed out hundreds of blankets yesterday. He started collecting blankets in 2015. Back then, his goal was just 200. This year, his group called Samuel's Blankets collected nearly 2,600.
It's helping the homeless, and I've always had a heart for the homeless.
Samuel's Blankets usually waits to collect those blankets until September, but this year they're hoping to expand. They're looking forward to partnering with other businesses and organizations to take in even more donations.
Intense. Let me take a second here to breathe, guys. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight, Saturday night, Mike in the Night. We got a severe homeless problem, guys. Hand to God, this is really bad. I'm not trying to, because a lot of people that are they're not homeless. A lot of people are they're doing decent in life. They're living, they're moving ahead in life. They're trying their best, But now, if you fall through the cracks, it is so hard right now. I'm trying to put no one down and saying that I can't get back on their feet. But as more time goes by, the more forgotten people get. So, anyways, guys, I want to tell you a quick story about this jacket. It's actually a very interesting one. This is my Jackie Chan jacket. Let me tell you a story about the Jackie Chan jacket, and it's a really good one. I was at a nightclub in downtown Vancouver, and it was kind of a pub nightclub area, and it was very well known for street extras and actors to go to and have a few drinks and just go out and have some fun and just do their thing, right? So I'm there. I put this jacket on the chair, and then I'm standing at the bar, and it's like an hour later. I forgot I had my jacket on a chair there. And somebody walks up to me and brings me my jacket. And says, oh, you forgot your jacket. I'm like, oh, thank you, sir. I took the jacket, I put it on, and he shook my hand. I go, thank you. He's like, thank you, nice jacket. It looks good on you. Thank you, sir. And then my friend goes over to me and says, that's Jackie Chan? I'm like, what? I look. Oh my God, that's Jackie Chan. Oh my God, that's Jackie Chan. But he's not a tall guy. He's like, he's shorter than me. Anyways, that's my Jackie Chan jacket story. I couldn't believe I met him like that. It was so weird, and he looked out for my jacket for me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we'll head over to the comment section. Maybe Western need to adapt Asia, take care of their parents, and then as they get old, the kids live with their parents. Yeah, well, my parents get old enough. My parents don't even want to bother with me right now. They don't care. They're living their lives. They're retired. So they don't care about me. They're doing their own thing. And when they get old enough and they can't mow their lawn and have troubles going up the stairs, they're more than welcome to move into my house here. I don't care. I'll take care of my parents till thy kingdom come. It doesn't matter. And I have my kids to look after me. You know what I'm saying? So, Lord Humongous says you must make money. No. This is sorry. This is Andrea says you must make money on the internet. It's the only way. And then Rainier Mullah says, Lower Scratcher, man, it's not about Western adaptation of Asian and Western culture. You used to take care of their parents and grandparents. This has just changed in the 1960s. Rainier Mullah says, good to hear, Mike, but kids these days are no longer have that mentality. That's scary. That children nowadays don't have the mentality to take care of life. And what am I saying, life? Those people gave you life. You wouldn't exist without them. Period. Period. You wouldn't exist. Okay. Lower Roller Scratcher has a good... I'm going to do a whole Mike in the Night special of video game addiction. It's a big deal, guys. Anyways, immigration after Brexit could increase homelessness, department warns. Ooh, Brexit. Ooh, homelessness. They're blaming everything. You know how the U.S. and the whole world's blaming everything on Donald Trump? Well, the U.K. is blaming all their problems, their housing scandal, their bad mortgage practices, their frauds, all the illegal wars since that Cameron guy. I don't know who the hell that Cameron guy was in. I don't even know how that guy got voted in. Got into power, and what? Bull. And now they're blaming Brexit? They're blaming Brexit? Really? I think only an idiot would believe that. Let's move on. Fredericton's homeless start tent city to meet demand for shelter. Look at the snow there. Fredericton, Nova Scotia. Or New Brunswick, sorry. Not good at all, people. Let's see what's going on in Fredericton.
It is a sad reality that becomes much more obvious when it gets cold outside. There are people without a warm place to stay at night. In Fredericton, a homeless tent encampment has now sprung up right next door to the homeless shelter. CTV's Jessica Ng tonight with the reason some of those on the outside can't get inside.
This is Fredericton's tent city. Tents, bags, supplies, and shopping carts line the walking path just off of Smythe near Woodstock Road. For those who call this place home, being able to stay here has been quite a relief from the cold.
Nice and warm. Because I was sleeping outside King's Place in that snowstorm.
A snowstorm that left the brisk chill of winter in the air and ice on the ground. So why not go to a shelter? Well, for some, it's not that simple. The city's 3 shelters are running at capacity. Every week, St. John House has to turn people away. Those that get turned away are put on a waiting list until a bed becomes available.
We run pretty much at capacity at all the time. So, you'll hear a lot of stuff and we get blamed for a lot of stuff. But, keep in mind that on any given night, we're housing 40 people with our organization.
Just there's so many people. It's over. It's, we need a bigger space, really.
And even when there is space, shelters don't work for everyone. Some people aren't compatible with the social environment of a shelter, and others require more mental health and addiction support than a shelter can provide. Tent City gives those residents a place to call home, even just for now.
I got some hot chocolate here.
Local Frederictonians have come to the area outside of St. John House and the Fredericton Community Kitchen to help out any way they can. Over the weekend, Carolyn Connor started a GoFundMe campaign in hopes of raising $6,000 to purchase Army-issued tents and sleeping bags.
everybody deserves to be warm and dry. So that's our goal.
A lot of people are glad that the awareness is finally there, and it shows that there's been people out there all along that are ready to do something. They just need to know what to do, and wow, all I can say.
With the long winter ahead, the importance of staying warm is something everyone can agree on. Jessica Ng, CTV News, Fredericton.
So, every province in Canada is being hit with this. Montreal, homeless man had nowhere to turn at night and dog froze in his arms. I read this earlier, so if you're just tuning in, a man was sleeping out on the streets and his dog died in his arms because it was so cold. And I'm not reading that article because it's depressing. Let's head back to Spokane, Washington. Begins annual drive to help homeless people. Again, Washington State, King County, Olympia, all the place there, all there. What happened was they got severely bought out by foreign investors, and then Google and Amazon is there. It made it really tough for techies to even afford to live. So it's been out of control, guys, severely out of control. And a lot of people have moved east to Nevada, east to Salt Lake City, Utah, east to Arizona. And those places are taking the brunt of the increase in housing prices because of the mass exodus of people leaving Washington, Oregon, and California. The whole West Coast is completely bought out. Let's move on. This is for Evan later. This is for Evan. If he comes on the show, he could debunk this. That's for Evan later. Let's move on. Daily News. 1 in 200 homeless. 1 in 200 homeless and type 2 diabetes rise. This is in the UK. Again, people sleeping in tents. The amount of empty homes in the United Kingdom is just absolutely phenomenal. You have no idea. All investment properties. Well, okay, 99.8% investment properties. And the other whatever percent are condemned properties that are unlivable. Okay, let's see who we got here. Okay, guys, tonight's topic is severe homelessness. Add me on Skype if you want to call in and let me know how the homelessness is in your area. Charlie Brown says, "Good day, Mike. Victoria just had voting this week. Labour left. We're now in power for 4 years. They are now aligned with the left. Social justice warrior Greens." Guys, that is not good news. I have somebody messaging me on Skype. Let's see who it is. People living in Metro. Oh, Christ. All right, let's see if we can call this my friend here. Let's see if he's available. He's not answering. A buddy from Vancouver is on there. Dominic, I know you're watching this. Add me on Skype and call me in if you want. He just sent me a really big article here. Reports on the ground, posted 2 hours ago. More than 3,500 homeless people living in Metro Vancouver, says report in a tent city here. These are the ones that are identified as homeless. So that's another one in the works right now. Vancouver, you guys know, the people that could leave, like myself, my family, we got out of there. Or we would have been home. Well, I wouldn't have been homeless, but... Okay, I wouldn't be homeless. But to be very fair with you guys, it was just getting too expensive. You know? Okay, Long Chop Production says, these are end times. Peter saying, perpetual growth. We need growth forever to keep ever-increasing currency supply. That's true. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Let me see if I can get speakerphone on here. Let me see if I can get my speakerphone on here. Are you there?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling. How are things?
Things are things are okay. I think you made a comment the other day with regards to my Facebook on losing my dad and my sister.
Yeah,
within the 4-month span, which is actually, it's quite apropos considering that you're doing this segment here on homeless people. I live in English Bay, and I think I sent you a PDF file that I actually sent to the city council and to the mayor's office. Maybe some of your viewers would be interested in this. If anyone knows Vancouver at all, there's the Sylvia Hotel that is wrapped in ivy, and it's kind of a landmark here in Vancouver, right in English Bay. And there is a building that has been here for probably 25 years. It's got a tree at the top, and they decorate this tree at every Christmas time. Are you familiar with that one, Mike?
I know of it. I remember of it when I was living in Vancouver. Yes.
Well, that building is empty.
Oh.
It was sold. All the units were sold by 2013, 2014 to South Asian buyers.
Okay.
Adjacent to that is another building that is occupied. On the right-hand side of that is another building, even taller, on the corner of Chilco and Beach Avenue, and it's 95% empty. So this is what we have to ask ourselves. We are in the middle of a catastrophe here. I live in English Bay. I walk around. I work a lot in Yaletown doing apartment and condo renovations, consulting, design, stuff like that. And I am literally stepping over people every day.
Yep.
And it is heartbreaking. Young women, young men, elderly people, mentally disabled people. And it's like, I understand that everybody has a story, and that in your life you make choices. And a lot of these people made the wrong choices. But that being said, when the odds are stacked against you, when you're living in a town where you drop $75 at the local Safeway, that's a day and a half of food. You know?
Yeah. I'm listening. Continue.
I mean, that's just the reality of what's going on. So, my story, my daughter is Madeline Merlot, the Canadian country star.
Right.
She's living down in Nashville, and she moved to Toronto back a couple of years ago. She's a little ninja, hard worker. She just got signed to a U.S. deal, and I help her with her music, and I write for her and other artists. And with today's technology, I can literally be anywhere in the world, and I can still be relevant. Let's say I used to own restaurants, nightclubs, cappuccino billiard cafes. I had a lot of assets, and I sold everything off. The last asset I sold off was my home and everything in 2016. And I decided that I was just going to vacate the market and just sit back in the grass and wait, because I can see, just like you, Mike, and a lot of other people that are out there that keep themselves apprised of what's going on, not only in their own communities and in their own country, but around the world. This indentured servitude, this debt that we are carrying per capita in Canada is worse than any other nation on this planet.
Wait, can I take one step? Hold on. Okay, guys, this is Dominic on the phone calling from Vancouver, for if you guys just tuning in. And I have his daughter up here on YouTube. You could see her, and you could check out her channel, Madeline Merlot. And this is her song, Neon Love. And Dominic has been a friend of mine for quite a while. He's been following our channel for quite a while and contributing in the comment section and messaging me on Facebook regularly. And but there's one thing, Dominic, I need to there's one little thing I need to interject. Actually, Australia is a bit higher than us, buddy. They're 190% over. They're 190% LTV.
Well, maybe.
Australia's debt load, family.
Canadians per capita, when you look at the household debt and you look at the home equity loans, and which is what I'm referring to, what people don't understand is, yes, houses are expensive, interest rates are going up, people have over-leveraged themselves and purchased homes that were out of their realm, were out of their price point.
Right.
And these unscrupulous brokers and these bank managers and whoever else that they were dealing with, unscrupulous realtors, managed to just weasel their way in and cook the books and get these people into these homes. These people are not savvy buyers. They don't understand fluctuating interest rates. They don't understand that your home is not necessarily an asset unless you own it.
Mm-hmm.
They just think the sky is falling and they need to get into the market now before it's too late. They FOMO in. Fear of missing out. Because they're not experienced. They've never owned homes before. They don't understand that the markets, there's booms and busts. There's ebb and flow to everything. Well, that's one thing. That's one thing to be in an expensive home that you can't necessarily afford, but you're managing.
Right.
We have 43% of those mortgages also have home equity lines of credit attached to them.
Right.
So essentially a double mortgage.
That's right.
These are shadow loans. A lot of these are private entity loans that aren't on the books, that we're not aware of, but the ones that we are aware of is 43%. And who were the people talking to these homeowners? Who were these individuals that said, "Hey, Mike, that home that you bought for $1.2 million? Guess what? It just went up $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
You want a loan against that? We know you got in just by the skin of your teeth, but buddy, you're rich. Your house is worth $1.6 million. You want that flat screen TV and that ATV and the new boat?" And these people go, "Hey, honey, guess what? Our house went up $300,000, and they're high-fiving each other. But nobody steps in and says to these people, "Hey, the house across the street is worth the same as yours. The house at the end of the road is worth the same as yours. You're not rich. Unless you're planning on selling right now and you're going to move to Thailand, or you're going to move to Mexico, or you're going to move to somewhere, you're not rich. You're in the same boat with everybody else."
Exactly.
So, and your job is not giving you an extra 20% annual increase in your wage every year. You're hooped. Don't add more debt. You can't even sell a used car in Vancouver, even if you had a $70,000 Audi and you're trying to blow it out for $20,000. You can't sell it.
Yeah.
Because people do not have any extra money. The only way they can own a vehicle is to do some 80-month 0% interest and just stretch it out over 7, 8 years, 9 years. Like, I'm 50 years old, Mike. When we were kids, you could just buy a beater for $1,000. You learned how to change the oil and replace the tires, and you'd work on it with a wrench and all. And your friends would come over, and that was your car. These young people today don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to change the oil.
Yeah.
This indentured servitude, all they know is to go to the dealer, sit down, get ripped off, and stretch this out on top of their student loan, on top of their cell phone, on top of their internet. They're all living at home. Mom and dad now, if they want to get the bloody kids out of the house, they take a second mortgage to put a down payment on another place for their kids. They've worked their whole lives to be finally mortgage-free. And now, just to help out their kids, they've got a mortgage now. And this trickles down. You walk along Denman, you walk along Robson on a Friday, Saturday, the restaurants are half full.
If that, they're half full. If that.
Exactly. Now what happens? So now the restaurant owner says, "Hey, I only need one waitress on. I only need one busboy. Sorry, go home. I only need one cook. Actually, my wife and I are going to cook. We're going to have janitors maybe once or twice a week. The guy that delivers the toilet paper and the straws and brings you and fixes your ice machine, sorry, we'll just put bagged ice in the wells for now until we got enough money to fix the ice machine." And now you're hooped. And all of the people that are living in this area, especially the seniors, and there's thousands of them, nobody can afford it anymore.
That's right.
Rents just keep going up. So this trickle-down economic kind of thing starts to snowball. And we are speeding towards a brick wall at 100 miles an hour, yet we're arguing about what seat to sit in.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we're doing. this lethargic, sort of indifferent attitude that we have as Canadians, this idea of, oh, well, what can you do? Oh, well, what are you going to do? And we're hoping that all of this offshore money is going to come flooding in to keep this giant economic catastrophe, this bubble, afloat. Hopefully this money from China will come pouring in and they'll buy even more. And Vancouver proper will look like Richmond and will be okay. But the thing is, Richmond is a ghost city.
It is.
Businesses can't survive there because there isn't that populous base there that's supporting it, that are ordering a pizza, that have their kids taking piano lessons so the piano teacher can make some money.
Right.
That, that's community. Community is when everybody is like-minded and they're all working together and they can afford it. They can look out for each other's children. Hey, does your mom know you're home? Does your mom know you're riding your bike down here at this end? Hey, Frankie, you and your friends get home so your mom, she's probably looking for you. That is community. We don't even know each other anymore.
Do you remember?
Everybody.
Tell people about block parties like back in the 80s, how they were. Tell people, a lot of young people watching this channel, they have no idea what a block party is.
Oh, yeah. And a block party would be, if you lived in a neighborhood, you would go around to all of your neighbors and you would say, hey, man, how about we do a block party this Saturday? You know, usually in the summertime when you could count on the weather. A few people would park their vehicles sideways on the on the entrance to the street, so you could set up right out in the street, and you bring your picnic tables and your park benches and whatever else, your umbrellas and bistro tables. Everything would get pulled outside. Barbecues would get rolled out to the end of the driveway. We would either all decide on what radio station to all dial in our music, so everybody was pumping the same signal.
Right.
And you'd hang up some lanterns and stuff, and the kids were playing in the street, riding their bikes. And everybody contributed, and you got to know your neighbors. You got to know who they were as people. You know, not everybody would participate, but most would, and you'd look forward to it, and everybody would contribute, and it felt like a community. We as human beings are tribal.
Right.
We are. We have been since we evolved. And this idea that you can have this melting pot of so many different people from so many different cultures, whether you're asked or not, so many different religions, so many different diets, so many different likes in music and ideologies and the way you think, and we're just all just thrown into a big soup pot and just figure it out on your own. And now you've got all of this identity crisis, this non-binary, transgender, worrying about what sex your child is at 4 years old, and we're getting all integrated into this. You know, meanwhile, inherently, our communities are not communities anymore.
Right.
When you start to tax a person to death, that's what happens. They just kind of figure there's no way out. That idea that you owe so much, because it's inherent in us as human beings. You know, nobody says you have to go to work, but we need to feel as though what we're doing is actually making a difference. Otherwise, you're just existing. And this is what's happening in Los Angeles. They've got almost 1 million homeless people there. Literally miles and miles of tent city.
And 6 million people intermigrated into the eastern part of or central United States from California. 6 million in the last 3 years. Dominic, I got somebody commenting here from Australia saying, feminism and socialism has replaced the tribal part of the West. What do you think?
Well, it all depends on how you look at it. I think what has happened is this idea of feminism has been skewed. It's more of a liberal sort of mindset where you have this idea, especially in the Western hemisphere of the world. You don't find this too much in the Middle East and stuff like that, and nobody wants that system, so we always use that as the sounding board of, well, as if it's that bad here. We just say, well, you know what it's like in the Middle East, and that's kind of, it's not even close to what we have here. What you have is a society where everybody feels that this can't happen to them. that a recession can't happen to them, that a depression can't happen to them.
Exactly.
And when you have this sort of arrogant, narcissistic attitude of me, you're always thinking of me. When you have no sense of community, when you have little sense of family, when you have little sense of a moral sort of ideology and living a mindful kind of life, you have more time to just think about yourself. So everything offends you. I'm offended. We're so hypersensitive, and we're looking for an excuse now. We're looking for a reason to blame. Why does a mom have 2 kids and she's a single mom and she's looking for someone to blame? The guy that's living in a basement suite all by himself that got divorced from his family and stuff, and he's woe is me, he's looking for somebody to blame. The guy that lost his job is looking for something to blame. Some kid who's looking at the world and thinking, wow, there's global warming, there's this uncertainty in the economy, I'm never going to get a job, I've got this student loan sitting over my head at 5% interest that I don't think I'll ever get to pay back. The light at the end of the tunnel is a tiny little dot of light. I don't think I'm ever going to make it. He's looking for someone to blame. So I don't think it's necessarily this social agenda, this liberal agenda, this left-wing sort of agenda. I think it's people are looking for somebody to blame for their situation. And it's only going to get worse. Nobody wants to just man up.
You know what?
Just man up, male or female.
Dominic, you see here, this is we're the type of guys where if we're at something, we're working on something together, and let's say we screwed up on something big. I'm the type of guy that would tap you on the shoulder and say, Dominic, we effed up, man. What are we going to do? Well, we got to man up. We effed up. We effed up. We effed up. We move on. We call a spade. We made a mistake. We take our own blame and we move on. And like, Dominic, we effed up, buddy. What do we do now? Yeah, well we did.
This is exactly what's going on. This is why Dr. Jordan Peterson is so popular. I mean, let's think about it. There's nothing that Dr. Peterson is saying right now that is filling auditoriums and people all over the world are paying $300 a ticket to go see him. Anything that he's saying has been said by you, Mike, has been said by me, has been said by my parents. There's nothing new that what he's saying, but because he's got the credibility and because, he's a university professor, people feel he's accredited, and they're acting as if what he is saying is this new profound ideology, new profound sort of way of thinking, and it's like, are you kidding
Pick up the Bible, pick up the New Testament.
Yeah, I mean, what he is saying is just so rudimentary. It's just rudimentary. It's just common sense, and I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but when you look around the world, people are looking for. It's no different than pre-World War II, when people were looking for someone to blame in Germany.
Yeah, well, that was a big banking agenda. Okay, Dominic, hold on one second. Guys, I got my man Dominic on the line here from downtown Vancouver, a longtime subscriber to my channel and personal friend. This is his daughter's channel. She's a very, very famous country singer down in Nashville right now. It's the Madeleine Merlot channel. Guys, subscribe to her, and I just subscribed because I just found her channel. Well, you sent me a link to her music, and I play it sometimes, and I added it. 3 of her songs are actually added to my playlist in my store. So when I'm playing music in my store, her song comes up every once in a while. So guys, I know you guys love me. So everyone on the Mike Martin's channel, they love me. I know you guys love me very much, and I love you guys very much. Please go on to her channel. Here it is. Madeleine Merlot. Please go subscribe to her channel. She's a Taylor Swift of the 2019, 2020 going forward, and she's got a lot of potential. And this is his daughter here, basically singing. And like I said, add a few of her songs to your playlists on YouTube. And this gentleman on the phone is an absolute honor to have him here. He sent me a lot of photos of the Granville area location. Granville would be like Buckhead in Atlanta, that entertainment district in downtown Sydney. I forgot what the name was. This would be like Los Olas Avenue in Fort Lauderdale. This would be the Yonge Street in Toronto. This is like he sent me photos of that area, and most of it's boarded up and shut down. The entertainment district in Vancouver on Granville. It's phenomenal what's happening and how it's falling into great decay. So my man Dominic, calling in from Vancouver. Go ahead, continue, buddy. So where are you going to be? Where do you see things? You're a long-time resident in Vancouver. You understand. You walk the beat. You know the know. You're European. We're both European, brother. We got, you got to come up and visit me sometime on a long weekend. Maybe we could do some fishing and barbecuing if you ever want to. Let me know. If you want to bring up the family, it's fine. What's going on, brother? What do you forecast for the next maybe Q1 and 2 of 2019, brother? What's going on?
Well, like you, I got out of my, I've been investing for years, and I got out of my cryptocurrencies. When I got into cryptocurrency, I got into it in 2016, and the idea of it is because I'm a contrarian thinker, the idea of it sounded just so prolific to me, but then it kind of got into this thing where everybody was sort of measuring their cryptocurrencies using fiat dollars, and then everything's going to the moon, and I'm going to be so rich and can't wait till I cash it in. And I was looking at it going, well, cash it in and just be a part of the existing system. This doesn't change anything. Imagine, Mike, if in school they taught children about central banks and the Federal Reserve and the entire banking system and how it came to be. How usury, which is abhorrent, not only in the Quran, but also in the Bible. Whether or not you believe in a higher entity, or you believe in Jesus Christ, or you have a religion or whatever, that's completely irrelevant, because that's personal and everybody has their own idea. But the idea that a Federal Reserve or a central bank will print money out of thin air, the government will borrow it from this entity of private people who own it, and the people of the country will pay interest on that money borrowed to build schools. That money is to fix roads. That money is to build infrastructure, repairs, help needy people, social programs, so on and so forth. And your government has to pay these guys, who we don't know, interest on this money that they printed for free. Mm-hmm. They just tapped a keyboard and said, "Oh, you need more money? Fire up the printing presses, Frank. We need to print up another $16 billion for the government."
Yep.
And this idea that 1% owns 90% of the wealth, and how that came to be. Well, that's exactly how that came to be. Mm-hmm. When Jesus, and regardless of what you believe, because I was born and raised Catholic.
Me too.
I went to an all-boys Catholic school.
Me too. I believe Dominic. I believe in the God of Abraham. I'm baptized. I'm christened, and I'm everything.
That's where we differ, Mike, because I completely disassociated myself from all religions, because I really believe that we don't know. So I'm a bit of an agnostic, whereas I would never say it isn't, and I would never say it is. I find that very arrogant, because we don't know. Mm-hmm. So whatever you want to believe, as long as I measure a person by his worth, by the type of person he is. Exactly. Is he a mindful person? Is he a moral person? Can he distinguish the difference between right and wrong? And I think we all are born with that instinctive ability. But my point is, if you are of a Christian denomination, the section in the Bible that talked about Jesus going into the temple and knocking over all of these tables of these gold and jewelry people that were worshiping false gods, that was all around usury. Mm-hmm. And what usury is tax. It's taxing a person. The concept of taxing a person on his labor. Just have your viewers, I want you just to take a second and think of that. You go to work every day. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're on an oil rig. You're in a You're in a coal mine, shaking hands with the devil, breathing in coal dust, so you're going to get black lung and probably die 15 years before you're supposed to. And you're working, and at the end of the day, the government is going to take half of that on your labor. I get it. Tax us on our
It's
homes,
severely immoral to tax people on labor. There's a lot of countries that are against that. There's a lot of countries that do not tax people on labor.
And to think and think of this concept. So now you get your money. You've worked, your check gets taxed, and you go buy something. And the person says, "Oh, well, there's tax on that." And you go, "Well, no, wait a minute. I already paid tax. This tax was taken off the top. This is mine. This is my money." And they go, "No, sorry, you pay tax." Then you get a cell phone bill, and you're paying tax on a bill.
And you're paying tax on the tax.
Exactly. Now I didn't tell you this, Mike, but I'm leaving Vancouver. February 1st, I'm going to the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm moving there. Just 20 minutes off the Arizona border. I got a friend living down there.
Okay.
Losing my sister, losing my dad has made me realize how important and precious life is, and your time here. It's heightened my awareness of my own mortality. So it's time to go, and it's time to be able to just be, because like I said earlier, I can be anywhere in the world and still be relevant. But I found this girl. I advertised on Craigslist. She's taken over my place. She's buying absolutely everything, right down to the dishes and the towels and I just take my clothes and I go. But I need a little larger vehicle because I want to bring my instruments and everything with me. And I've just got an Audi TTS, just a small kind of sports car. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's a car dealer, and I said, "Well, look, man, what if I just find somebody who's got like a small SUV? It's worth about 25 grand, and he might want my car, and I want his car, and we just trade."
Right.
We just trade. It doesn't mean a new vehicle is on the road that is wearing down the streets. I get it. When you bring a new vehicle into the system, that vehicle is now creating pollution. That vehicle is now, acting as an abrasive on the roads and stuff like that. So you got to pay. You want to use the roads and the street lights and all of this kind of stuff. This is a new vehicle. You got to pay for that service because the government has to pay to upkeep all of this infrastructure. I get it. But the only difference is his ass is sitting in the seat of my car, which the tax was already paid, and vice versa. So you would think you'd be able to fill out some paperwork and just trade. Nope, not in Canada. Can't do that. Each of you has to pay 12% the blue book value of each vehicle.
12 points, buddy. I know a lot of bookies. I know a lot of bookies that don't even charge 5% VIG, and they're charging 12 points.
So on a $25,000 vehicle, 12 points, it's like $2,800 that each of you have to just give to the government just because. Just because. And when I was in the auto plan agency and I was trying to get the lowdown on sort of what I'm going to do, that same British Columbia, Vancouver, Canadian indifferent attitude of, "Oh, well, what can you do?" And that's exactly what the lady said to me. She said, "Well, what are you going to do?"
You know what you could do, Dominic? You know I lived in Mexico for 2 years, right? Do you know what you could do with $2,500 in Mexico for? You know what you could do with $2,500? That's a lot of money. That's like 30,000, roughly. About 23,000. Wait, that's about 23,000. You could do a lot of stuff with that, buddy.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Mike. Do you think it's better for me to sell my vehicle, ship my stuff down where I'm going, and then buy myself something, a beater or something, while I'm there?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you some a little bit of experience. Okay, do not. Okay. You're gonna buy a vehicle in Mexico. Okay, maybe buy a Chevy Monza or buy something like or Peugeot. Peugeot's a good car. They have lots of Peugeot in Mexico. Peugeot's all over Mexico.
Okay.
I strongly recommend that you just take your clothes with you and pick up something while you're there. You might want to pick up a side scooter, because when I was in Mexico, I had a scooter on the side, a Peugeot scooter, and I had a BMW SUV that they have BMW dealer there too. So
you bought your vehicle while you were in Mexico?
Yes, I did. I bought my scooter too.
Really?
Yeah.
And that works out financially advantageous.
You know why? It's because I drove a lot, so it made sense for me.
Yeah.
And if because I used to go to Acapulco a lot, and Acapulco was 3-hour drive, so every weekend I would go to Acapulco and just spend the weekend there, and then I would go back to the town I was living in. And no, you see, here's the deal: $25 would buy you so much food in Mexico that you wouldn't even know what to do with it.
So Mike, let me ask you something. We're talking about this caravan of people that are all dying and clamoring to get into the United States from South America, primarily Mexico.
Right.
And then you have someone like me, this guy that was born and bred and raised in Vancouver, is going to Mexico to live. I mean, most people probably think I'm crazy. They're like, why the hell would you go to Mexico
you're not crazy.
is leaving Mexico?
You're not. No one's leaving Mexico, and I'm going to tell you why. People are leaving Mexico on a daily basis, but that's never. You have no idea. When I lived in Mexico, I've been to almost every state in Mexico. I've even been across the border into Belize. Okay, I spent a lot of time in Mexico. I speak Mexican. And all the employees I hired that worked for me when I was in Miami were all Mexicans or Puerto Ricans. Now, here's the deal with Mexico. Once you arrive there, you're going to be actually... Can you tell me what city you're moving to? Like, what state maybe? Even what state? Can you tell us the state you're moving to?
Well, it's the community is called Playa Sonora. And it's about 3 hours outside of Phoenix, Arizona, about 20 minutes from the Arizona border.
How far is it from Mexicali? Let's open a map here. Let's see where you're going here. Let me see what state you're in. I just want to see what state you're in.
Well, it borders. It's the Gulf of Mexico, Mike.
It's Gulf. So okay, but the problem is Arizona, buddy. You're not in the Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of Mexico is the Gulf. Mexico Gulfo is Tampico, Tamaulipas, Veracruz. You're not there. If you're in Arizona, buddy, you're on the border of Sonora, Hirmalosa, Chihuahua. You're on the border of Baja California. You're not in the Gulf. You could be on Baja California coast.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's where you're going to be.
Yeah.
So, okay, Phoenix, 3 hours. Are you in, so you're going to be on the coast, you said?
Yes. Yeah, Playa Sonora. Playa, if you just type in Playa Sonora.
I'm looking for it right now.
It's a community of about 70,000 people.
Pescanso, Martinez, Puerto Lobos, Puerto Labardo, Bajina Quino, Guayamayas, Navajo. I'm not finding it. Let me check it here. Playa, what's it called?
Sonora. Senora.
I got it. Playa Sonora, Mexico. Okay, let's zoom it out. Let's see where you are exactly. It's a big city, definitely. Ooh, this is a really big city. It's in Hirmalosa. You're far from the... you are about 70, 80 kilometers from the water, buddy.
I'm going to send you a photograph from my buddy's condo on Facebook here. Maybe I've got it. I'm going to look him up and exactly where it is.
It's exactly where you're. It's it's demographically exactly where you told me it is. But it's about 40 miles from the ocean.
Okay, look up Rocky Point.
Rocky Point?
Yeah, Playa Sonora.
Playa Sonora. I know there's a Rocky Point in San Luis Potosí, Mexico, but Playa Sonora, Rocky Point?
Yeah.
Rocky Point. Okay, I'm getting something here. Okay, I see where you are now.
There we go.
It's in Playa Encantanto?
Oh, gosh.
It's called Rocky Point. It is demographically where you're telling me where it's located. It looks like it is... Yeah, man, it looks like 3 hours out of Phoenix.
Yeah, so that's it.
Playa Encanto. Okay, here's the deal, buddy, and I'm going to be straight up with you. Once you get to Mexico and you arrive and you're on your way to where you're going, you can probably take a bus from the airport and stuff. Let me tell you something. First thing you're going to be amazed with is the infrastructure. You're going to be blown away by the highways. How the highways are so very well developed and the streets are so no potholes and everything seems so advanced. And then when you start going to Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and Costco's and you start seeing the lights on the intersections and everything really advanced, you're going to be like, why would anyone leave Mexico? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mike, look up Puerto
Yeah.
Penasco, Penasco, Rocky Point. That's exactly where I'm going to.
That's in Sonora, Mexico, right?
That's in Mexico, yeah.
Sonora. Yeah,
There
I
you
see
go.
where I see where you're going, right here.
Yeah, and condos like steps from the beach.
Okay, so we're gonna go to your condo right here. Let's just drop the little man here. Where's the little man? So this is where you're going. Oh yeah, yeah. It's a very touristy area.
A lot of development going on. The Mexican government is spending a lot of money putting in a cruise ship
port.
Port,
Yeah. When I was in Acapulco, they were putting in cruise ship ports there, like big ones. Yeah.
So once this port goes in, it's about a $250 million project. I just sent you a photograph from his apartment balcony, Mike, on private messenger on Facebook, so
Okay.
you can just sort of see how close it is to the water.
Yeah. We're checking it out here right now on Google Maps. It is a very happening city. It looks like it's definitely happening.
Well, it's just growing, and there is a lot of distressed properties there from, believe it or not, left over from the 2008 subprime mortgage crash.
Hold on,
So
Dominic.
these
I got somebody at my door. Hold on, let me get it.
Okay.
Sorry, that was just my family coming home. I had to open the door for them. Okay, so I'm looking at this. There's an entertainment district in the downtown area I'm looking at right now. And you got a nice beachfront here. It's very nice. Lots of avenues going through.
Now, why is it, Mike, that I can move there in a furnished 2-bedroom condo for $500 a month?
It's buying power, buddy. It's just buying power. Your currency goes a lot further than what they make there.
I get it, but this idea, the more research I do and talking on the phone with him, he used to sell BMWs for Brian Jessel. He was one of the top salesmen in Brian Jessel BMW. And basically I asked him, well, how the hell did you end up there? He used to work for me years ago, and I hadn't heard from him in years until he called me to just offer his condolences with losing my father. And this is what sort of turned the light on for me. It was this epiphany that I had, that why am I staying here in Vancouver? $1,800 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment, $700-800 a month for just food, $100 a month for your internet because you want unlimited internet because you've got Netflix and all this other stuff, and it just never seems to end. And he said he was making about $10,000 a month selling cars, which is just a grind. And he said, and you can't be a Brian Jessel BMW salesman and drive a Hyundai. You have to have, it's all about, showing face. It's all about creating this illusion. So he's got a 7 Series BMW that's costing him $1,200 a month. High rent because of the area. He's taking out clients. He's got multiple phones. So he's got all of this overhead. And he said at the end of the day, he might as well be selling hot dogs.
Yeah.
Because that's how much people talk about how much they want to make and stuff. It's not about how much you make.
It's how much you spend.
Home. It's how much you keep. How much do you get to take home? So this idea of buying expensive cars and expensive homes and having the allure that you're rolling in it, so your friends and family and neighbors can see you in all of that can be taken away soon as you lose your job, or your wife loses her job, or the company says we're downgrading. The tow truck will be in your driveway in a heartbeat, and the bank will be putting a for sale sign on your lawn as soon as you go underwater, within days.
Yep.
You know, during the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008, let's just be real here, over 2 million people lost their homes. They got wiped out. Their deposits got wiped out. Their bank accounts got wiped out. Their credit history is over. And it's going to happen again. Why? Why is it going to happen again, Mike? Because we're in a way worse shape than we were then.
Oh, yeah. Right now, we're in a situation right now that's beyond repair. And I got my eye on the door, Dominic. I mean, I wish it wasn't so hard to move and live in the United States, but I've already tried legally to do it. I can't do it. They just won't accept me. I have no...
Mike, if you already speak Spanish,
Mhm.
and there's private schools in Mexico for your children, and the children dress in little uniforms, and the schooling is good, why would you leave a warm climate where the food is more organic, where the cost of living is cheaper? And I'm not talking about Mexico City, where you got to worry about violence and you got to worry about corruption.
Okay, whoa. I've been in Mexico City many times. It's not as violent. Let me tell you something, Dominic. I remember when I was in Mexico City, I would walk down the street. People would cross the street when they saw me.
Really?
They were scared of me, yeah. They're like, holy shit, this guy's Portuguese. Watch this guy. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this guy, man. I don't want to deal. Just cross the street, you know. Entire families see me and cross the street.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've lived in Jamaica. I lived in Mexico. I was in Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta doing an album for Alejandro Pena.
Mm-hmm. Alejandro Pena.
I spent 6 months there. I was playing on a 40 and over soccer team. I loved the Mexican people. They were so sweet.
I spent
There's just a
2
sweetness
years.
about them.
Oh, this 2 years in Mexico. It was the entire country was my family.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to learning the language. I'm looking forward to being a part of their culture. If I can help, maybe start a business where I'm doing some manufacturing and I can hire some people. I started a polycarbonate awning company when I was living in Jamaica, and I turned it over to my friends who were there. I had to come home and care for my dad who had Alzheimer's, but if you are if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, whether you're a musician or what, if you can see that you can make a change, you can make a difference, and I just stress to your listeners that are listening right now, don't feel trapped.
No.
If you feel trapped in what you're doing, it doesn't matter. Try to just inhale an entrepreneurial spirit. Go to a couple of trade shows and look at products. Look at things that you're like, hey, that is really interesting. Nobody's even heard of this. It could be a new type of window blind. It could be a different type of sink plunger or toilet plunger or something. Talk to the manufacturer. Be the guy. Start selling them on Craigslist. Start your little business. Sell them on, and build it from nothing. Build something from nothing. I have a friend of mine who designed this organic liquid that turns your brown lawn green.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is, Mike. That's all it is. Just made it in 25-gallon barrels. It's like an algae green. It's all organic because in Vancouver we get this drought during the summer. Everybody's lawns go brown. So he comes over with a little pump sprayer and makes your lawn green.
Mm-hmm.
Just by spraying it, and it actually feeds the soil and everything. He ended up having 30 employees.
Mm.
Couldn't, and sure, it's seasonal, but the amount of money that he would make from, June until the end of August was enough to ride out the rest of the year, and he started that from absolutely nothing in his garage.
Yep.
And this is what I mean. We sit and we complain about the government. We complain about these politicians that are just feathering their own nests. These people do not care about you. There has to come a point where human beings and citizens need to just pull back the veil and just go, okay, I don't care whether it's an MLA. I don't care if it's a premier. I don't care if it's a mayor or a city council member. 75% do not give a shit about you. The
Yeah.
other 25% might be good people and actually care, but most of the time their hands are tied. So someone like Christy Clark, who was our premier here in British Columbia for how long, Mike? A decade? 12
Yeah.
years?
Oh
We
yeah,
put up with
it's
her?
almost like communism, man.
Where is she now? What's she doing? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. She feathered her nest while she was in power.
Mhm.
She's probably got some bullshit job where she doesn't even go to work anymore because of the contacts she made while she was in office. So
Mhm.
now she sits at home watching Oprah and learning new recipes to cook in her kitchen while this check goes automatic deposit into her bank account with some title of director of bullshit. It could be just some bogus job title that they invented for her, and she makes a nice cushy salary and she rides out the rest of her life singing all the way to the bank.
But here's the
And
deal. Dominic. I know you can I tell you why I left the city of Toronto when after high school?
Well, Mike, I'd like to know because, I've been following you for a long time. You were one of the first people that actually, you probably know what it's like to be a contrarian thinker like myself, where you're sitting around a bunch of people and you start talking and you get deer in the headlights and then people start rolling their eyes at you and it makes you feel really alone in the way that you think. And probably a lot of your listeners and subscribers can understand this. So you get on the internet and you start looking for like-minded people so you just don't feel alone.
Yeah.
And that's how I stumbled upon you a couple years ago when you just started. You were still had your store in Vancouver and you were doing other videos. It wasn't so much on housing and so on and so forth. And then it started to really segue and take off. And I'm following you, but I was just being quiet, and it kind of made me feel good that at least somebody else out there is talking about what I'm seeing and what I'm worried about, because I'm a good person. I'm a good moral person. I'm a helpful person. I'm a kind, generous person. And some of us are just operating at a different wavelength, and we see these things before most people. And all people need sometimes is just, hey, man, have you noticed this? Have you this and that and so on and so forth? And then I looked at you as this entrepreneur that, almost a carbon copy of me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've never heard, and I've watched as many of your episodes as I can, but I've never heard your whole story. Like, how did you end up? Where were you born? You're Portuguese, but you worked and lived in Mexico and ran businesses. You were in Miami,
Mhm.
then Toronto, then
Mhm.
Vancouver,
Mhm.
and then now you're in Merritt. And it's like, that's a real fearless way of taking on the world and just going, all right, that's it. We're packing up. We're moving, blah, blah, blah. And our grandparents did this. Our parents did this. My dad got on a boat in 1952 in Italy.
Yep.
My dad was a tailor. He was a pro soccer player with and him and his cousin got on a boat with a couple $100 in their pocket at 19 years old and
Mhm.
went to a different country, ended up in Fort St. John working on the pipeline, can't speak the language. And yet I tell people that I'm going to the Gulf of Mexico. I'm a millionaire. And they're worried about me. Oh my God, how can you do that? And they're so fearful. And I'm like, what are you so scared of? I've raised my children. I only have me to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to Mexico with $100 in my pocket and looking to pick oranges for a living and live on the streets or whatever, like our parents did.
But you know what?
Why are we so afraid? Why, Mike, are we so dependent on the government to do everything for us? Because they're not doing anything for you. They do not care about you. The banker doesn't care about you. The tallest buildings in every metropolitan city are banks, and they don't care about you. Please understand that, whoever is listening. Please understand that when you sit down and that advisor says, well, here's what I can do for you, and opens up the brochure, that advisor is just a puppet. They don't know anything. They're just regurgitating what's on the brochure that head office said what they can and can't do. And they don't care. They're going to use your money and they're going to lend it out at a higher interest and give you nothing. That's the business model. That's how they have the tallest buildings in every city. It's not an accident. It's no different than Vegas. These huge hotels weren't built because everybody's winning in the casinos. They're building them because everybody is losing in the casinos. That's the business model.
Here, Dominic,
so Mike,
see,
I ask you,
yeah, go ask.
why Merritt? I mean, if you're going 60 kilometers an hour, you can whip through Merritt in 4 minutes. It's like, why, of all places? You've been in Miami, you've been in Mexico City, Portugal, Vancouver. You're the type of person that can probably land on his feet no matter where he goes. Why would you stay in a country where the cost of living is still so high?
Okay, well, here's some photos, guys. This is the back of my shop. So this is me in Miami here. I was actually, my shop that I owned the transmission shop. It was on 17 Causeway and Andrews Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. This is the back. There's my Hayabusa. There's the cars I was fixing. And there's me in my shop. That's me fishing. That's me in Miami outside on the beaches. That's me during I think it was the World Cup in 2006. There's my employees, Jesus and Manny, my 2 employees that work for me outside my shop. Some hurricane damage here. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to tell you. I don't know why, Dominic, and I can't tell you. I can't tell you because one thing I could tell you, and I can't tell you why I feel this way, is I felt like when I was living in Toronto as a child growing up, that it was a waste of life, that I was burning my life away. I felt like I wasn't getting the most I can out of life. I just felt like I was a waste of life. So after I graduated from high school, I moved to maybe 2 years after that, I moved to Mexico, and I'll show you the photos of that. I'll go on my Facebook here. I lived in Mexico, and I just, you know what, Dominic? I chased after a Mexican girl to marry me. And, well, she didn't marry me, of course, but, Dominic, I just felt like I was wasting my life in the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. You know?
Well, you know what did it for me, and your listeners and subscribers might find this funny, and it actually sounds kind of ridiculous, but I was at the Safeway.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to just imagine this. And I was going to make myself a pasta sauce or a chili, and I'm in the meat department, and it's Safeway on Robson, right on the corner. This is like prime real estate in the city of Vancouver. Very expensive Safeway on the corner of Robson and Denman. And they had the extra lean ground beef cheaper than the regular ground beef. It was a special. And I'm looking at the prices, and I'm like, well, that can't be right. And then I went, oh, I guess it's on special. And I thought, well, great. I'm going to use the extra lean ground beef to make my sauce. This lady, around 50, around my age, she leans in, and she automatically grabs the regular ground beef. She's a well-dressed woman, looks like she works in an office, perhaps. And as she grabbed the regular ground beef to put it in her cart, I just turned and I said, hey, the extra lean ground beef is actually cheaper than that. She clutched the lapel of her coat, pulled it tight to her throat and her chest, and she pulled away as if I said the most vile thing you could believe.
Yes. When I was living in Vancouver, I would talk to somebody or say something to somebody. They would look at me as if I burnt their house down with their grandma in it.
Exactly. And Mike, it was at that moment, and that was on October 21st, my birthday, the day of my birthday, the day my friend called me from Mexico, the guy who used to sell cars, who packed everything up and just left Vancouver. And he goes, I will never, he's already a dual citizen inside of a year and a half. He will never come back. So this idea that you either become active or you become proactive in your life. You either make a difference in your community if you don't want to leave, if you can't. You know, your children have made their friends, they know their teachers in school, your wife or your husband has a decent job, and you like the community. Let's face it, it's not so easy for people to just pack up and go, because your sister lives, you know, maybe 5 minutes away, and your mom and dad are still alive, and you got to help them out and stuff. And for a lot of
Dominic, my mom and dad are alive, and they're still alive. And when I left Toronto and I moved, and I was in Mexico for 2 years, and then I was in Dominican Republic for 6 months in Santo Domingo, and then I was in Cuba for 6 months. I'll show you the photos of that one too, when I was in Cuba for 6 months.
But you know what my point is, Mike, that for some people it's just not that cut and dry. It's just not that easy, and I understand that. Some people just don't have, a lot of my friends envy me because they don't have the freedom that I have. You know, I had a cousin of mine, he said to me, well, what do you do for work? And I said, well, I do a bunch of different things. I said, but what you don't understand is you work to live. I worked. Past tense, I worked to live. I was always aware that one day I'm going to be 50 years old. I'm still in very good shape. I'm still a good-looking guy. I'm still just that same, you know, Dom that everybody knows. But I always inherently knew there will come a time where I'm not going to want to do this anymore. You know, so work hard now and work smart, and know that because it doesn't get easier as you get older. You know that, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Your back isn't as strong. You don't wake up all chipper in the morning, like you can't stay up as late. Get used to saying, I used to. Preface everything I used to run fast. I used to jump high. I used to be able to. Well, that's just a reality. And when you lose your mom, and then you lose your dad, and then you lose your best friend, and you lose your sister, and you lose people that are around the same age as you, it makes you realize that, wow, I'm just mortal. And
That's
whether
right.
you're Frank Sinatra or the Pope or Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, Prince, Bryan Adams, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you're gone, the world just keeps turning, and somebody is saying, do you want fries with that?
Yep.
So stop thinking that you are important. And this goes back to the whole question you asked me before about the whole social justice warrior, liberal, feminism, non-binary, transgender. I don't associate with this whole idea. You're not that important. Stop thinking that. You're no more important than a dolphin. You're no more important than a majestic oak tree that is now 250 years old that started from a tiny little seed.
Mm-hmm.
We are all from dust, and we're going to go back to dust. That's just the way it is. So when you finally exhale all of that anxiety, that I'm not that important, nobody is watching me, I don't need the fancy car or the fancy clothes or stand in line at Starbucks to make me feel like I'm part of something. Just exhale and breathe and relax and go, how am I going to carve out just a little piece of the pie for me so I can be comfortable? Because let's face it, you're in good company, everybody. You're in good company.
Yep.
You're in the 99.999 percentile bracket with the rest of us that just want to be comfortable. Stop comparing yourself to the Kardashians and this kind of thing, because you will just be miserable. And it's fake, and they're no more happy than you are. And they go to the bathroom just like you.
Yep.
And they get sick, and they vomit in the toilet. And when they look in the mirror, they don't look as good as they thought they did. So they airbrush all the photographs and all this. It's fake.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Realize that. It's fake. Be okay with who you are and figure out how you're going to carve out that little niche for yourself. And it could be selling that little widget on Craigslist. It could be. I've got a friend of mine whose wife does these bottle arrangements. She takes wine bottles. She's on Facebook. I'll Facebook you her link. And she wraps them with string and does these art sort of displays. It's called Wine to Beautiful. And she's making a killing. She can't keep the orders going. This is out of her garage. Her husband is doing all of the letters that they put on the bottles and stuff like that. On a scroll machine, on a scroll saw and a little bandsaw that he has in the garage. And this is starting something from nothing.
That's right.
From nothing. And that's exactly what you did, Mike. That's exactly what I did. I don't know if you saw the documentary that HBO did on my life, where I took that bank in Maple Ridge and I turned it into a nightclub.
Mhm.
Everybody thought I was crazy.
Yep.
You're going to turn this into a nightclub, and my mom died on my grand opening. On the day of the opening, she dies.
Yep.
So it's not, people would look at my life and they would just go, oh, wow, it must be nice to have the motorcycle and the fancy car and the good-looking wife and your good-looking kids, and just everything is just so peachy keen on the outside. It's like, that took me 4 months. I was almost $500,000 in debt, and my mother died on the day of my grand opening, and my staff all thought I was the coldest human being in the world, because all I was saying was like, all right, everybody, we've got 300 people outside waiting to get in. Let's go, chop, chop. And they're all whispering to each other, oh my God, his mom just died today. What do we say to him? I didn't even deal with it, Mike, for a year. And then when it finally hit me that I'm never going to see her again, then the emotions took over and everything just really started to come crashing down on me. But I had absolutely no choice at that time to start getting weak, But the old saying, sometimes the strongest person in the room that appears to be the strongest person is the person that's hurting the most.
Yep.
It's the person that is the most insecure. But that person is willing to help everybody. That person is willing to stand up for what he believes is right and what is wrong, what is fair and what is not fair. And to sum it all up, I believe that we are living in a time where it's just not fair anymore. This has gotten ridiculous.
It has.
It's just not fair.
Okay, hold on. I got Lord Humongous here from Denver, Colorado, that's saying, I'm 45 and I'm falling apart. Diabetes is taking its toll. And guys, up here, what you're seeing is a picture of me in downtown Havana, where I lived for 6 months outside of my apartment. That's me in Havana, Cuba. And I spent a good time there. I've been to almost every state in Cuba except Guantanamo Bay. Was the only place I couldn't get into. But everywhere else I've been to, and I've documented it and taken photos and wrote poetry, and it's kind of experienced the lay of the land. So that's me in Cuba here. And someone's asking what year. Oh my God, this has got to be in 2001 or 2000. I was very young here in this photo. So, you know what, Dominic, in all fairness, can I give you a tiny, teensy-weensy bit of advice?
Absolutely. I want to hear it.
I would go to Mexico as kind of in the back of your mind of a vacation. And go there and kind of take a lay of the land. Because my experience with Mexico when I lived in Acapulco, or I didn't live in Acapulco, I lived in Tasco. I'll show you a photo of where I used to live in Mexico. So this is a few more photos of me in Mexico. That's in the bar I used to go. In Cuba, where the bar I used to go to. That's me and my friends in Cuba. And there's not too many photos here of Cuba. I have them on backup on hard drive, right? So let me go back here and let me show you guys what I'm trying to say here. Dominic, I'm going to be very frank with you, okay? For some bizarro reason, I will use the word bizarro even though it's not an English word. I just feel, this is the house I have in Mexico, in quotations, because you can't own in Mexico. So this is technically my house in Mexico, technically, because it's very hard to own as a foreigner. That's my house. There's my godson. There's my friends. There's my view from my washroom. And yeah. So, Dominic, go there as a vacationer. Go there, check it out. Breathe in some of the air. Get some of that salt water in your lungs.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
You know,
I'm
don't
just
go.
Gonna rent there. I'm just going to rent there for a while, take it in. I mean, I'm not ready to buy anything anyway. I'm here or in Mexico. I'm not ready to invest. I'm just waiting in the grass. I'm liquid. Everything is put away. Everything is safe. And it's just time to just sort of decompress over everything I've been through the last couple of years. And then just assess things. So exactly, Mike. I mean, we're on the same page here. Don't worry. I'm not going to go down there and just blow my whole nest egg and then just learn to regret it.
Dominic, in all fairness, I'm going to give you what the life expectancy is of Mexico for a person like us to go down. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
2 years. You're going to spend 2 years in Mexico. That was the 2 years I spent in Mexico. I've been to almost every state in Mexico. And for some reason, it's like a 2-year thing. And you're like, 2 years from now, you're going to look back and say, damn you, Mike. You were right. It's 2 years. It's time for me to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? It's for some reason, it's 2 years. I don't know why. And then I had a friend that moved to Mexico. And he's an Australian. And he moved to Mexico from Vancouver. And he spent 2 years there, and he's like, you know what, Mike? You're right, 2 years. 2 years is enough for me, and it's time for me to move on. You know what I'm saying? It's time for me.
Though?
I don't know.
What's the difference between Merritt, BC, and where you're living now?
Well, see, the thing is with Merritt, BC, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have no reason to lie to you, okay? It's because my wife is Filipina, and it's very hard for her to live in another country. And it's hard for me to live in another country. I've tried to live in the United States. I applied for a visa. I applied for everything. I did everything by the book. I paid a lawyer a bunch of money to get me citizenship. I got a company to sponsor me. And when I went to the interview, before I even said one word to them, Dominic, they told me that they're not looking for my kind of people.
Wow.
So I was rejected from living in the United States after doing all the paperwork, doing everything by the book, and doing everything. I paid a lawyer like $7,000 to do everything. Here's money. Do it for me. I own a company here. I employed a pile of Mexican and Puerto Rican people, and we were a family. And when I sold that shop to that guy from Cheyenne, I don't know, the guy's from Cheyenne. And when I sold that shop to him, everybody was crying when I left. They're like, Mike, you are like our father. You can't leave us. I'm like, I can't stay here. I can't stay in your country. They don't want me here. They were crying. They're like, you know, you could stay at my house. No. That's not the point. The point is I can't stay in your country legally. So I left. You know what I'm saying?
But that wasn't Mexico, though. Why did you leave Mexico?
Because I couldn't buy anything in Mexico.
You couldn't buy anything.
As a foreigner, you cannot own land, and you're going to have a lot of people telling you can. And when you go down, you find the best damn lawyer you can. I have a lawyer in Mexico. He lives in Cuernavaca, in Morelos, and I talk to him all the time. And he told me, I'm going to tell you honestly why I talk to him, so I can keep up my Spanish. That's the only reason why I talk to him. But you know what he told me? He told me that that a foreigner cannot own. And a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, Mike, I'm an ex-pac, ex-military, and I'm American, and I live in Mexico. And I say, look at your fine print. You cannot own anything in Mexico, ever. And they looked at their fine print, and one guy actually got back to me, and he told me, oh my God, Mike, I do not own anything in Mexico. I thought I did. I don't know what to do. Just live your life, enjoy your life. That's all I have to say. Enjoy your life.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you know, with interest rates going up the way they are in Canada, in the United States, if you've got a nice little nest egg here and it's giving you a 3% return or a 3.5% return, that pays your rent and your food to live in Mexico. Keep contributing to the medical service plan because you are Canadian and you have that right. You're born in here. I have paid a lot of money in taxes, more than most people. I'll tell you that. When I had the club, my property tax, just for property tax, was $30,000 a year. Just in property
30
tax.
large?
$30,000 a year in property tax, yes.
Okay,
That's
you know you could buy a
commercial.
very nice house in Veracruz. I'm talking about a 6-bedroom with cabana chairs around a pool for 30 large.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But
Well,
here's the
there's
problem,
not.
Dominic, here's the problem, okay? I know Mexico. I've been to Mexico 12 times. I've been to almost every state in Mexico. I speak Mexican. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day on the phone from Texas, and he barely speaks English, so I just talked to him in Spanish. So we're talking for like 20 minutes. He's like, why do I think I'm talking to a Mexican every time I'm talking to you? Well, I told him. I go, dude, it's just because that's the Spanish I learned. I'm going to be very frank with you, Dominic. it's very hard to own anything in Mexico. A lot of timeshare crap. There's a lot of like those condo apartments for foreigners like you that you could move into and feel at home. Dominic, you gotta read the fine print on everything. And the Mexican government could turn around after an election and take everything you have.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Buddy, hand to God, I would never lie to you. I have no reason to lie to you. Hand to God. I would strongly consider going on a vacation, okay? And if you can, I really want you to go to spend a little bit of time in Portugal, because a lot of my friends now, a lot of my older friends, when I grew up in Toronto, a lot of my friends were 20 years older than me when I was growing up in Toronto. And they're not Portuguese. They don't speak Portuguese. They've never been to Portugal. Guess where they're all living?
Portugal.
Exactly. A lot of them.
What about you? If that's your heritage, why not Portugal?
Yes, I'm a Portuguese citizen, and the reason why, when I was in Mexico and I didn't want to surrender because you could only have 2 citizenships, right?
Right.
I want to die as a Portuguese. I don't want to die as a Mexican. Well, no offense. I want to die as a Portuguese, right? Dominic, if you just take a small vacation, you take a flight to Toronto and take a direct flight to Lisbon, and you jump on a bus, you take a backpack, Dominic. You don't take much with you. Just take a backpack. You drive down to the Algarve. Let me show you what the Algarve looks like. You drive down to the Algarve. You get a little bartending job. A little bartending job in Albufeira, paying you 12 euros an hour. Living a meaningful life, small 1-bedroom. Dominic, you have no idea what when I went to Portugal in my early 30s, I was back and I understood, and it kind of recharged my batteries. My wife right now is in a position where it's very tough for her to go anywhere because she's a permanent resident, and they could refuse her entry into Canada for some bizarro reason. I have a friend, Tony, who lives in Florida. He's scared to visit me here because he's scared, even with a green card, they could refuse you entry back in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Yeah. So Dominic, I really, just asking you as a friend, just go for 2 weeks to Portugal. Fly to Toronto, take a direct flight to Lisbon, and your mission is to get down to the Algarve and then take a direct flight back to Toronto and come back to Vancouver.
Well, that's Portugal has been on my bucket list, so you never know, Mike. You'll be getting a message from me with a photograph in the back. No doubt about it. But your children are Canadian citizens born here, right?
Yes, they are, but they're dual citizen. I went to the Portuguese consulate, and I gave them both citizenships. They have cards, and they have a Portuguese passport.
But I'm talking about as far as your wife not feeling. You said they can deny her residency here in Canada at any time. That to me just sounds insane.
Yes, that's just what it is. But you know what? Like I said, if you've been watching my videos, I have my eye on the door. I have an uncle there that owns, 700 acres of vineyards in Porto. I have people in Mozambique that my family that's been there for over 100 years in Portuguese Africa, in Mozambique. They own a 22-story hotel that caters to tourists. They gave me a position there working in their casino. If I want, yeah. So. You know what I'm saying, Dominic? I really hope.
So you have options as far as an exit strategy is considered.
Yeah, but my option, my hope. I really want to be buried. If God hears me, I really want to be buried in the Azores.
Right.
Where I'm from.
Mike, let me ask you something. Portuguese and Spanish are similar, but they are two different languages.
They're 2 different languages. Portuguese.
Now how did you find learning Spanish when you lived in Mexico?
It's very easy because Portuguese is the root of Spanish. So
I'm wondering how difficult it's going to be for me. I've got this app on my phone that automatically translates for me, and I don't want to be one of those people that just, is all arrogant and thinks everybody should speak English.
No,
Unfortunately,
nobody
I'm not
speaks
bilingual.
English in Mexico. I've been to every state. I got the deals. I got the best girls. I got the best booze. I got the best locations to stay in only because I spoke Spanish.
Yeah, that's I'm working on it right now, learning Spanish, and hopefully in a year's time. Hopefully, in a year when we talk, we'll speak Spanish.
Oh, dude, we're not going to speak in a year. I'll talk to you next week. But what I'm saying to you is, I really want you to go on a vacation there. Okay. Just hang out with your friend. Go out. Go do some fishing. Go do some snorkeling. Meet some of the locals. Eat off the street. When I was in Mexico, I never ate at home. I just go on the street and buy a taco.
Right.
I would just, it's just, the thing is, it's just 2 years, Dominic. I'm sorry. I mean, after 2 years, you're going to be, damn you, Mike, you were so right. Damn you,
you
Mike.
might be right.
Yeah.
You might be right. Well, listen, buddy, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have, my plan is just to get down there, vet the whole situation.
Yes.
And not be tethered to anything.
Yes.
And that way I have the freedom to be able to go up to Nashville and stay in Nashville with my daughter and help her with her career if need be. I mean, that's the one benefit being a Canadian citizen is that, you're not going to have too much trouble at the border. We have a good treaty arrangement with the United States.
Have you invested in marijuana stocks ever?
I think marijuana, I did in the early days. I think they are now, for anybody, I would stay away from marijuana stocks. They are highly overvalued.
Okay,
right now.
Can I say why? Because I think when I approach the American border, they will deny me because if you ever were invested in marijuana stocks,
yeah,
they'll ban you lifetime from the United States of America.
Well, we'll see when I get to the border because they're probably going to go ask me, what I'm doing. But I'm just passing through the United States. That's not my agenda is to, become a burden. I think a lot of the time they want to see your bank account. They want to see some records. They want to make sure you are not a burden on their tax system. And
Yes.
I have no intention of being that. And hopefully I can prove that at the border. Maybe I should go to the border first and say, hey, listen, I plan on traveling in a couple of days coming through this border. Before I load up my car and everything, is there going to be a problem? And just maybe sit.
You just go to an American embassy. Just go to an American embassy and just talk to them, and then they might print something out for you and print it and staple it inside your passport. But right now,
that's a good idea.
Right now, Dominic, in all fairness, as the way the law sits, I am banned permanently from the United States of America.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
It's okay. There's Portugal, there's Mexico, there's Brazil. I have so many ties in Brazil. I mean, I could get a job in a movie studio in Brazil tomorrow as a regional parts manager, ordering in lights and this and that for novellas and stuff. There's so much out there because I've opened so many doors, right? And I love so many people. And there's so many people that have my back. And I know the same thing is for you, Dominic. But I'm telling you in all fairness, go there, go vent out, have a good time, enjoy the weather, take in some of the nice salt water, enjoy the people, enjoy the women, enjoy the family orientation. One thing when I was in Mexico, I noticed is how people were so family oriented, and family meant everything to them. And that was really, really good, because it brought me back to the whole Portuguese living, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But Dominic, if you can, buddy, please go out to Lisbon. Go to Lisbon. It won't cost you much. Get out to Lisbon. Do not have an agenda, okay? Do not create an agenda where you're going to stay at this hotel and this hotel. No. Just go there free. Arrive there. Once you start seeing their fast rail system and you start seeing how drugs and is completely decriminalized, and you start seeing how the standard of living is so different, how everybody's dressed like they're going to a wedding, but you're wondering, why is everyone dressed so nicely? They just do. I don't know why, Dominic, but everyone dresses nice. And then if I'm making a video in Portuguese on my Portuguese channel, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, everyone asks me, what are you, going to the gym? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, it's so different, Dominic. People are poor in Portugal, but they're happy. They love everybody.
I let you go here, remember when I told you about, as far as your listeners and subscribers are concerned, to be able to just carve that little niche out for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Will I forward you a little link to the friend of mine they've actually left Vancouver and moved to Prince George, of all places, kind of like you leaving Vancouver going to Merritt. And I sent you the link on Facebook Messenger.
I have it right here.
Just,
I'm opening
her little wine.
her
little wine to beautiful. And something, you might look at that and think that, well, what's this insignificant thing? She's doing fantastic. And she's a mom of 3 kids. And just started this in her garage.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband, who's my best friend, he makes all the letters. He cuts them all out in the garage, and he goes, it's something that she likes to do, and she does all of these different themes and stuff. This is the point that I want to leave your listeners and your subscribers with. Find something that brings you joy. It could be teaching yoga, if that's something that you love to do. It could be helping the elderly. It could be something that gives back to you because you enjoy doing it. And that's life. Going to work every day and just drudging it out and thinking you're doing this because you have no choice. You're just stuck doing this. I don't know what I'm going to do. Find something that interests you, catch it, and run with it. And it's really, it's liberating. Once you see that and feel like, oh wow, I can make money just buying and selling because I have a really good eye looking at antiques and stuff, and I can see I've got a pretty good, or I'm a really good seamstress and I can make baby clothes, and I've got a new pair of mittens, a style for a new pair of mittens that I can sew together, and people are going to buy them, and that is seriously it. That is it. Don't rely on the government. Don't get too caught up in all of this stuff, Mike, because sometimes it can drive us crazy. We look at we're doom and gloomers. We're looking at the whole real estate situation. We're looking at the homeless people. We're looking at the banking institutions. We're looking at all of this indentured servitude debt that everybody's carrying. The world is also beautiful. The world also has loving people, kind people, people that want to shake your hand and give you a big hug and stuff like that. And really, really understand that it's not all doom and gloom. You know, it's I'll leave you with this. The old saying is, fail to plan, then plan to fail.
Yeah.
So just have a plan, have an idea, and have faith in yourself that you can do it, because I've done it. I've done it through all adversity where everybody thought I was crazy and said, you can't do this and whatever. And it's just amazing. You just go, well, I'm going to do it. And if I fail, then I failed. But at least I tried, you know? And chances are you're not going to fail if you have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Plan it out. There's mitigated risks. There's calculated risks. And then there's just silly risks. Be the person that makes the mitigated, calculated risk, and you'll surprise yourself. You'll surprise yourself what you're capable of, whether you're teaching guitar lessons or piano lessons, or you're doing a mobile. You're really good with your hands. You're a really good mechanic. Do people's brake jobs right in their driveways. Go right to their house. Detail their cars if you enjoy doing things like that. Find something that makes you happy, and have that entrepreneurial spirit that Mike has, that I have. Because I guarantee you, Mike, you could never go work for somebody and have them tell you what to do every day, do the 9 to 5, and you have no say. Once you are self-employed, it's impossible. And the older you get, it's even more impossible.
You get more stubborn.
Yeah, you're just like, no way, man, I can't do that. Go work at
It's called testadura.
Testadura. Yeah, exactly. All right, buddy, I'm going to let you go.
Yes.
Sorry to all of you here, listeners and subscribers. I appreciate you all listening to me and putting up with all these silly stories and life things. Probably pretty boring. I wish I had more definite insight for all of you. All I can say is just have faith in yourself. Find that little niche. Grab the ball. Run with it. And don't allow anybody to say what you're thinking is silly, stupid, it's not going to work. Just don't listen to them, because they're just talking out of fear. That's all it is. Don't be afraid. You're going to be fine. You're not going to die. So look at anything you're going to do and ask yourself this one question. well, am I going to die? And if the answer is no, then go with it. It's just that simple. I can always come back. I'm going to leave. I can always buy a new couch and a new TV and a new bed. I can always, you know what I mean? It's really just like that. So, you know, God bless everybody. Have a good night. Mike, it was great talking with you, and I'll keep in touch, okay?
Yeah, make sure before you head off to Mexico, maybe you should come up and stay a weekend with me and the family.
Well, I'll consider it. I've got a lot to do. I've got a renovation that I'm doing in Yaletown right now for a client, and that's going to bring me right up to the really close to my departure time. Because like I said, I've literally sold everything. This girl is moving into my place, and I got to be out of here February 1st. I've already signed all the paperwork. She wrote me the check, you know, and I'm a man of my word. So we'll see how the timeline works out. But definitely at some point in time, you'll be hearing from me. I promise you.
Okay. All right, Dominic. God bless you.
All right, buddy. You take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. That was Dominic in downtown Vancouver joining us. And I want to thank chugging down a little bit of Grey Goose here while my man Dominic is talking to me. Somebody sent me this. Very, very famous actor. I'm not kidding you, hand to God. And I don't watch Hollywood movies. I couldn't care less about Hollywood. I don't care. Sent me this bottle of Grey Goose. I did a video about Grey Goose, drinking it while I was on the air. Somebody sent me this. And when I saw who it was from, I was blown away. And they sent me something on PayPal. Thank you so much. I know you want to remain anonymous. I can't believe you spent X amount of money to send this to my shop while I was at... You made sure that I was at my shop when this was delivered. Moving to Mexico. There's a lot of Australians moving to Brazil. There's a lot of Australians moving to Chile. There's a lot of Australians I know personally, that I know, that I have friends on Facebook that I've been friends with many years in person, that are living in the third world. Ooh, but they're doing well. They have families and they love their lives. I'm from the Azores, right here. This is the Azores right there. The mountain biking, discovering the Azores. Guys, if you ever want to go somewhere like kind of off the beaten path, go to the Azores, man. It's almost like New Zealand on steroids, but unheard of only because Portugal's off the radar, which is a good thing because I don't have to worry when I retire. Look at Portugal. Look at the Azores, guys. Mr. E, are you there, Mr. E? Mr. E, Mr. E, where are you, Mr. E? Mr. E, I need you to talk for 10 minutes so I can hit the bathroom. Yep, there's the Azores. Right there. That's where I was born, right there. You see where that mouse is? That's where I was born, right there in that hospital. Evan.
Mr. Mike.
How are you, my brother? Evan calling from Hong Kong. Anyways.
It's in a rainstorm.
Okay, it's in a rainstorm down there. Evan, I need you to talk for 2 minutes while I hit the bathroom. So why don't you tell everyone of the new diet that you've got me on?
Alright, I'll keep people entertained. But I only have 10 minutes, Mike, so I hope your 2 minutes is 2 minutes.
Okay.
Alright, ready. Listen carefully. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike's on the intermittent fasting ketogenic diet, right? Basically, it consists of eating a lot of fat, a lot of protein, and very little carbohydrates. Makes your brain work. Everyone wins. You know, you go into a ketosis state where your brain is using three of the three ketone bodies, acetone, beta-hydroxybutyrate, and butyric acid, and that runs your brain just fine. And to use that fuel, you're burning your fat. So if you're a corpulent gentleman or a rotund sort of person, you'll be very much in good company when it comes to the ketogenic diet. You'll have a very large fuel tank to burn through before you ever need food again. And Mike will go from what he is today. He will have his jowls back. He will be an Adonis on this diet. He's already started drinking delightful coffee with milk, eggs, erythritol, you don't necessarily need that. Cocoa and butter. Can't go wrong with that. Smooth and creamy, delicious. Try the ketogenic diet today. And in other news, not a lot going on here, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to create a floating island to fit all the Chinese people who are fleeing here, 150 of them every single day, getting free access, free pass, and always have their hands outstretched. Have you heard that anywhere in your locality? I'm sure you have. But regardless of that, the spirit of fear is not the spirit of God. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. You've got to have an answer, a reason for the hope that dies within. And I have an answer. That's a very simple one. It's the thing missing in society these days. Christianity. You should try it sometime. The ketogenic diet and Christianity. They go very well together. Get your brain on fire, get your soul on fire. Can't go wrong then, can you?
Okay.
That is exactly 2 minutes, Mike. Well done.
Okay, good. I feel better now. Okay, Okay, Evan, I got some questions here.
Okay.
Why is the UK covering up homeless figures? Why are they making sure that people don't know how many people are homeless?
Oh, well, they're putting spikes up everywhere too, aren't they, to keep the homeless off the rich people's properties. And near department stores, they have the sleeping spikes to keep the homeless away. So you would get the illusion that there are less homeless, but I think it's almost 1 in 3 in parts of London or even higher. And the reason why they want people to look like everything's fine is so they can keep the scam going longer, obviously. They can say, oh, look, there's not a homeless problem until it's an undeniable problem. At the moment, they can deny it. At the point they can't, then they'll say, what a shock, what a surprise. The housing market's crashing. You know, it's the same sort of thinking, isn't it, Mike? You know, Bitcoin's going up and up and up. Everyone said it's going down. They said, oh my God, who could have predicted that? That sort of thing, Mike. That's what they're going to do with homelessness.
Okay, question. How long do you think till people have nothing and realize it's time to fight back?
That's a very good question.
Because when you have nothing to lose...
You're going to fight, right? Yeah, of course. But I would say when you absolutely have nothing and you've got no faith whatsoever, you won't fight for what's right. All you're going to fight for are your own selfish interests, which are always flawed, because all people are flawed. Even I am flawed, Mike, believe it or not. And they'll only look out for themselves and they won't help each other. If you do the right thing, and everyone's doing the right thing and helping each other, like you said, Mike, if people help each other out, guess what? The world gets better. If you're only looking after me, the world gets worse very quickly, because everyone's looking out for me, and the height of selfishness, where you put yourself in the place of God and say, no other gods but me, and then you go up to your boss and you say, can I have my salary now, boss? And that doesn't really make sense, does it?
No. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul back.
How was your night anyway, Mike, out of curiosity? Looked like you sound a bit burnt out, but how was the coffee? I was advertising.
The coffee you told me to go on is really good. I think I'm eating once a day now.
That's about where you want to be, Mike. You can eat whatever you like, but you'll find out very quickly what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
You'll feel it when you balloon up.
Okay, question. Homeless people are synthetic drugs' latest victims. So I kind of read into this article. I was thrown off Niagara Falls when I heard that 1,054 people died in overdoses in September alone on synthetic marijuana. How the heck do you even die off marijuana? I don't even hear people dying off regular marijuana. Why are people dying off synthetic marijuana? And why is there 1,025 people dying in 1 month, and the media isn't really picking this up?
I can tell you why. They want to keep promoting people getting degenerated via illicit substances, even the synthetic kind. There's one that's going around, used to be called Chronic. They've probably changed the name now to avoid the legal loopholes. And that one will quite literally, because it's so excitotoxic to the brain, it quite literally burns holes in your brain. Not unlike what they put in the diet sodas and the diet cokes, aspartame, because it's 10,000 times sweeter than sugar. put it on your tongue, burn the nerve ending out, end up with a little tiny hole in your brain. And then you get addicted, then you drink it more and more. Same with chronic, you get this cytotoxic response and you need the dopamine rush. You're going to burn your brain out. And once your thalamus isn't working properly, which is the central area of the brain, once that stops working and your hypothalamus is out of whack, your hormones go out of control, your levels of blood pressure and stress hormones go out of whack because you've got a big hole in your brain. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to malfunction and you'll probably expire. The reason why it's rife is because it's cheap to make. All you do is you take a fibrous substance and you mix a variety of drain cleaning substances together and boil them at about 60 degrees. That was for chronic. And you'll get this residue that sticks to the fiber, and that's what you're huffing. Worse than paint, worse than anything.
It's like rat poison.
I don't think they use rat poison, but I mean, I would prefer the rat poison, really. At least you know you're going to die. With chronic, they say, I'm going to live forever.
So
Let me huff this.
1,054 people died in September alone, and this doesn't make any major media headlines. 1,054 people, that's like one third of how many people died in 9/11.
This is the way I'd see it, Mike. They've just legalized pot in Canada. They want a lot of people getting doped up and whatnot. And then they can add taxation restrictions. And then you say, oh, look, I've got a cut version of it for cheap. And then you can... But
Evan, no one's ever died. Evan, no one's ever died of a marijuana overdose, just the synthetic marijuana.
That's right. Oh, no, but you're introducing it into the society, right?
Right.
You're making it trendy, and they're going to make it taxed, right? So it'll end up expensive, of course, because they tax everything into the ground. And the result will be, I can't afford my marijuana, which was such a comfort to me for a lot of people, I'm sure it is. So then they go, oh, well, this is the substitute marijuana. It can't be that bad. Then you take it, and it's highly addictive. And you end up totally addicted to that.
It says here, exactly, it says here in the article, for one, it's extraordinarily cheap, going for as little $1 for a joint, which can get up to 2 or 3 people high.
But, it's funny, Mike, once that becomes popular, the chronic and the fake marijuana, they'll raise the price on that and they'll find a way to tax that, and then you'll be on the next worst thing, and down the hill you fly, exponentially. My advice, generally, is to know what you're putting in your body. Don't worry about what all the experts are telling you, and eat real food. You don't need marijuana if you're not stressed out all the time.
Okay.
You don't need alcohol if you're using any substance as a crutch. It's going to be destructive because you're putting that in front of everything else. You're worshipping the substance, aren't you?
Yes, exactly, and I don't worship substance. Okay, Evan, I got the next article. Mass deaths and mayhem. National Climate Assessment's most shocking warnings. What the heck is going on? Billions of hours in productivity will be lost. Hundreds of billions of dollars will be wiped from the economy. Tens of thousands of people will die each year. These are some of the most grim predictions of the National Climate Assessment. Nearly 1,700-page report released on Friday warns about world heading into complete chaos by the end of the 21st century. What the heck is going on?
Oh, well, first they're lying, Mike. Let's start with the first premise. They're totally lying. Step 1, they're liars. Step 2, they'll show a picture of a polar bear on a little iceberg looking really sad. And then they don't tell you that a polar bear is the fastest and most effective land swimmer out of any animal on Earth. They don't tell you that part. So when a polar bear's on an iceberg, they're supposed to be there. That's where they catch their food. They catch fish, they can swim as fast as a fish, if not faster.
Yeah.
A lot of that visual imagery is a lie. And if it were true that all this productivity is going down and people are going to die, I'll tell you what, Mike, people die every day. So wouldn't worry about that statistic necessarily. And then productivity, I suppose if we put windmills up everywhere that catch fire and explode, like they tend to, unlike tidal generation or geothermal, then you're going to have a lack of productivity when the windmills come crashing down. There was a case only recently where 2 technicians were up there and the windmill caught fire. One of them jumped dead because he didn't want to get roasted.
Yeah. So this is the climate watch. This is the
Don't worry
climate.
about it, Mike.
This is the climate watch thing. They have a whole anchor broadcast system. They have a full analytic advisor system. But anyone that goes against them and asks any questions against the status quo, guess what? They get shut down. They get shut on, and they lose their jobs.
That's right. You're a heretic. You're going to toe the line, or else, because you have to believe whatever we say without checking it. And if you do check it, and you find something wrong with it, because it's like Swiss cheese, it's full of holes, we're going to punish you for it and socially ostracize you. That's the society. And your Chinese social score will go down.
Yeah.
Perhaps you'll even be jailed, or your business curtailed through taxation. Many ways of doing it. But with these people, these climate people, expose the lie. When people know it's a lie, they can see through the lie, and then we can actually do something about it. If you're just worried about it, which is what they want you in a state of panic, because when you're in a state of panic, you're very easily manipulated into a quick fix scheme, you know? Oh no, your house is burning down. Quick fix scheme, call the fire department. Oh no, Florida's underwater. Quick fix scheme, give us more money. Doesn't really make sense, does it?
Hold on. We're in 2018. According to that 1999 documentary I watched about global warming, Florida should be 3 feet underwater today.
That's an inconvenient truth, Mike, you're telling me. That truth you're telling me is inconvenient because it doesn't match what the film said.
All right, I got an article that was sent to me by somebody in the UK. It's a 5G campaigner has been highlighting the dangers of a secret 5G rollout by Get Council, which residents are complaining of increased illness and cancer affected in the area. So what's going on? We talked about 5G before on the show. What is happening with 5G? They're having campaigns and protests against 5G. Why is it not safe?
I wouldn't say it's not safe, Mike, but the thing is, it's a sudden shock to all these people's systems. They haven't had those frequencies and those energy amplitudes and frequencies affecting their body. So initially you'll get a big shock. It's like when 3G came in, when CDMA was being phased out, which it more or less is now, except in America. You had all these people reporting illnesses. The closer to the tower, the more dramatic the effect in a short space of time. Once you've bathed in it for a while, most people adapt because the body's very good at adapting. That's how people can use chronic for so long, or any other illicit substance. So the way I would put it, Mike, they are getting sick. They might be getting sick, very much a possibility, because it resonates with your fat in your water cells. It irritates you, constant irritation. A lot of people find when they're near a cell phone tower. The reason why is because your body is being agitated on a cellular level. So it would not surprise me if people are getting sick. It would not surprise me if they don't tell people. At this stage, they don't really care what the pledges are saying, do they, Mike?
No.
We're just the serfs. Got to tend to the farms. Got to farm those bitcoins, Mike.
Yeah. So I think 5G may be the next when they pull the
It'll be a health problem, for sure, because a lot of people are electrosensitive. A lot of people have pacemakers. A lot of people have very, sensitive bits of medical equipment attached to them, and whether or not 5G will resonate with certain chips and antenna built into such things is unknown, and they don't particularly care because you've already signed a waiver at the hospital and they're liability free.
That's right.
Hard to prove. Very hard to prove, and they don't care if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, of course.
They just want to know, will I get caught or not? That's the question.
Okay. 8 popular tea bag companies that contain illegal amounts of deadly pesticides.
Yes, rat poison, arsenic, and all of that stuff. Yes, why? Because as long as it's less than a gram, you don't have to label it. That's why.
But I know they don't. I know that the corporation does not care about the common human being, even though they're making them wealthy. Why would they continue if they know that they have deadly pesticides in their teas? Why would they want to? The corporation is shooting itself in the foot when it's not making money.
Not really, mate, because that will be, if that's the cheapest they can make it, they will make it like that. And when they go to court, they'll pay a paltry sum for a fine. So the gains they made by saving the money over that period of years will be far less than the settlement cases in court. Therefore, it's a net positive to do such a thing in these people's minds. So, so what's in it for me? Is this a positive or a negative financially? Oh, look, it's a positive. I have earned more than I have lost. Therefore, we are going to poison people's tea bags.
But if they start wiping out the people that support them, like cigarettes, for example, why the hell would they continue poisoning them if they know they're poisoning them when they're going to lose off the bottom end?
Well, you don't, what's the word? You don't convert, Mike. You recruit these degenerates. That's their motto. They only recruit. They never convert anybody. They can't reproduce either. So one sucker born every minute. Good marketing campaign. And look, everyone's drinking Lipton tea again.
That's very scary, my friend.
It is, but you've got to remember, these people are very callous. Very callous. You can't trust them. You should find their lies and expose them. That's Ephesians 5, Mike. But anyway, Mike, I'm terribly sorry. I do have to run. I was waiting and waiting. But
where are you going?
I got to jump through a glass window dramatically and beat up some Yakuza, and then I'll teach some English too.
Okay, buddy. Well, do your thing. I'll have you on the show again, but I'll have you on a bit earlier for your time frame. But
sure.
yeah.
Just today, Mike, we had this scheduling conflict, but it all worked out. Peter had very good points, and he made John St. John, whatever his name was, happy. Oliver St. John. He likes naming a certain type of people. It really makes him smile, you know. And eventually got to make fun of Bitcoin, so he's very happy. He said he'd challenge you to Magic the Gathering online.
Oh.
You just get 20 sets of lands, Mike, and you'll be good to go.
You know what? I'm a very hard person to beat in Magic the Gathering. It's because I played against thousands of different people that came through my shop that were going for PTQs and Worlds, and I've played against so many different people, so many different decks. It's not that easy to beat me in Magic, not because I'm good at it, it's because I'm so experienced at all the cards and so many years of dealing with it, you know?
You know, you open your photo wallet and you say, here's my children, it's just all black lotuses, Mike.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
All right, Mike, I will have to run, though. I do apologize for cutting it a bit short.
Okay, God bless you, and I'll see you soon in the chat.
All right, we'll see you in a bit, Mike.
Okay.
Have fun.
Goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, people, that was Evan from Hong Kong. He was in the middle of something. So I just wanted to, throw this out there. Homelessness is becoming a huge problem. It's going to continue to be a bigger problem into 2019 and 2020. It's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better, people. So I hope everyone's ready to weather the storm. And Anon is sending me art. It looks like a link here. Let me see what this says here on YouTube. Let's see what this is.
Soon, wireless carriers are installing millions of them across the country to enable the new, faster 5G cell phone technology. But tonight, Julie Watts asked the question you're not supposed to ask. Are there legitimate health concerns?
It's keeping John Heestand up at night. This new pole outside his bedroom window where Verizon will soon install a next-generation cell tower, just feet from a school.
Okay, guys, I got a question here. Since when cell phones been pretty much roaming the earth, I was always told, hey, it's satellites. Satellites are getting your signal. Look at the satellites. Tell us, and what's the other one there? All those American companies like Singular and all those companies are sending up satellites for your cell phones. What happened to satellites? Are they picking up our signal?
Be a big tower pushing out radiation
outside of our bedroom window, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for many years.
It's called a small cell or distributed antenna system, similar to this one in San Francisco. The industry says they're safe. Many in Piedmont aren't convinced.
Our daughter is a cancer survivor.
13-year-old Sophia has been one of many petitioning the city council to deny this cell tower and others.
I'm also a brain cancer survivor, and I am against the cell towers.
I mostly talked about my cancer and how it affected me.
But according to federal law, the city simply can't consider health concerns. It's outlined in this small section of the Telecommunications Act, based on science from 1996.
To turn your phone on or off.
Back when this was the height of technology. But if cities do consider health, the cell companies can sue. So with few legal arguments to deny a cell tower, they're popping up outside bedroom windows and school campuses, despite objections from across the country.
5G can be a tremendous boom to California, but only if it can be put up quickly and easily.
Hayward Assemblymember Bill Quark co-authored legislation.
It's pretty bad, guys. Nobody looks out for anybody anymore. The corporation's always about its bottom line. You guys should know that. Let me know, guys, if you want to carve up a small piece of land down in somewhere in Central and South America. We could buy up 400 or 500 acres. Everybody chips in to buy the land. We just create a small, independent country or independent place for us to live. One of us will raise chickens, the other one would filter water, the other one would grow tomatoes, and we will open a small church and a tiny pharmacy and a couple of little other... I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but I mean, guys, you know what? I mean, this whole society we're following right now, I don't even know, I don't believe any of this, but... No, I believe what's happening with the illness and all this. But I don't believe how they're betraying us blatantly. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Peter's saying, no, Mike, you will need an army. I just say we carve up a small piece, tiny piece off the radar. Fence it off with barbed wire, electrical. And live in a small community somewhere in Central and South America. Guys, I'm going to request a movie. Everyone keeps telling me to request a movie. Guys, if you haven't seen this movie, you're going to watch The Village. You're going to watch The Village, people. And it's about exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil the movie too much, but it's from 2004. And it's about a bunch of people that basically set up exactly what I'm talking about. This is it. They started this whole thing themselves. And they carved up a piece of land. And they, this is it, guys. Carve up a piece of land and say goodbye to what we've created, because it's basically turning against itself on us. Build a small piece of, small town. But if you want to watch a movie, guys, that actually entails itself, watch the movie The Village. And I strongly recommend you watch it. It's exactly what I'm talking about here. I know nothing's going to come of it, what I'm talking about. But there has to be some sort of leveling with humanity where it's like, you know what? I really don't need the internet to live. I really don't need, I could rely on my neighbors for tomatoes. I could rely on my local friends for sheep and for wool. I mean, I think if we go back to when times were better, I have a feeling that life would be a lot easier, where people used to be dependent on each other, where people loved each other, where people embraced each other. I think we're going to a period right now. I think it's just going to get more and more. We're going to be more and more divided. Peter's saying maybe in desperation people will give up their Black Friday consumerismist addiction, but many are far gone. Oh yeah, I'd be the first to set up a town like this, a town where outside of the I'd be 100% in with something like this, you know. But here's the movie I want to recommend this week. Everyone keeps telling me to recommend a movie. Watch The Village. Here it is, guys. It's really good. If you haven't seen The Village, watch it. It's a bit slow, and you're 20 minutes in watching it, you're going to be asking yourself, why am I watching this? There's a reason why you're watching this. And the whole ending is a huge twist. But I think people can be people again if we resort to our older times. I think technology is a fraud. I think technology is nice, but is it really that important? You know. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. I've been talking for 4 hours, and I'm tired, people. I'm overly tired. I want to thank all our guests for coming on. I want to thank all the people for coming on. I want to thank all the people in our comments. I want to thank everyone for subscribing. I want to thank everyone for basically contributing. I want to thank everyone for using the tip jar. Everyone that's been using the tip jar, I'm going to start using a little bit of I'm going to using all the funds. I got to buy myself a new computer. This one's falling apart. And I'm going to start properly setting up a studio for Mike in the Night and all these other shows we got going on. And I guess, I don't know what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is unite us. Unite the common man with the rest of the world. So we could discuss and we could bring forward our ideas. Because once our ideas are become unheard, humanity could just write itself off because it's over. Because we would not progress. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. It's been a great 4 hours being with you guys. But I'm going to go to sleep. Good night. God bless. Godspeed. And get this out there. And thank you for tipping me in the tip jar. God bless.